Mob Rules, episode 79, brought to you by eBay's Pro Painted Club.
Are you looking to sell your painted models? For just a small $17.99 a month fee, we will allow you to use the term Pro Painted for your auctions, and we'll stamp all of your auctions with the PPC guarantee. Pro Painted, because no one can say it isn't if we say it is.
We totally can say it's not pro painted
Because we can judge you.
And we do. Yeah,
it's
totally.
still my favorite thing because I'm a stickler for grammatic correctness. And if you're pro painted, that means you're a professional painter, which means your sole income is from painting, which worries me for some of these pro painting things.
Man. So really, you would be more of like SPPC, right? So semi-professional.
Semi-professional. I want to start up like a whole new section on eBay.
Semi-pro painted. Just
Mortarian assembled semi-professionally painted. So there's like a couple more lines and the glue leaks a little bit.
I was going to say like half the model is painted. Like it's... It has too many meanings. We need to get more specific. Nomenclature matters, guys.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it really does. Welcome to Mob Rules, episode 79. It's right in front of me, too. Every time we're going to get that.
Keep adding one to it. I think it's because of the lost episode that doesn't count.
There's the lost episode that doesn't count. There was the last episode, which I had to upload twice because somebody messed up the translation and decided to only put my voice in.
Yeah.
It's all Dave's fault.
Yeah, it's all Dave's fault.
It was like Danny and I were not funny. We're just going to go with just John for this episode.
Which
what John decided post-production.
So everything was fine in like my little editor. And then I exported it. And like usually I'll listen to like the first 30 seconds after export, just make sure everything's all good, because that's got usually all four of our tracks there. And this time I'm like, nah, we're good. Yeah, that's fine. And I upload it. And then Phil, the Glacial Geek, sends me a message like 14 hours after I upload it. He's like, hey man, you might want to check out the audio in your podcast and something's up with it. So I'm like, well, shit, I look in and all you can hear is a yeah, that's what I thought.
It sounds like a great podcast, actually.
And then we get like the YouTube comments coming in when it's like the guy is like, use more than one mic, you asshole. I'm very barely paraphrasing that. And I'm like, I screwed up. So yeah, apologies if you had to download twice.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you guys know, but we all have to
it.
share one microphone.
Yeah.
We just pass it around very, very liberally or get very close. And then so I go re-edit the podcast, re-upload the podcast. Don't take out our name banter during the adverts.
Yeah,
so it's
right.
the night.
We shit talk anybody?
Probably.
If we shat talk you, I'm sorry. In our defense, we didn't think you were listening. Which makes it all okay.
Probably weren't.
No. So. Yeah. What have
you been up to, John?
What have I been up to?
Yeah, let's start with you this time.
We never start with me. I've been up to a fair amount. I've been playing. I played a couple games of 40K. Rather than kind of try and fine tune tournament lists or kind of doing, I went for fun, weird lists for the two games that I played. So I went for a 2,000 point Adeptus Custodes list. With 11 models. Mm-hmm.
That's
which was 10 shield captains and the Custodes Dreadnought, or 9 shield captains. 9 shield captains and the Custodes Dreadnought.
That's my kind of painting.
You're right.
11 models.
Yeah, I'm all about that.
And I took it up against an Imperial Guard gun line, which was not very successful. But a couple of things, like I feel that after playing it, I was like, wow, if I just like shielded my bike captains behind kind of scenery a little bit more and done this, I would have like maybe actually done okay. Yeah. And then I completely forgot about the stratagem to keep the Dreadnought like up high until you're ready to bring him down. Sure. So, I was like, well, this isn't terrible. I mean, it's still bad, but it wasn't as terrible as I thought it was. And then I went for like Synergy the Musical was my second list, where I had like the three Imperial Knights, the little guard battalion of command point generation.
The battery.
Yeah, a little battery, and then a couple shield captains in there as well. And again, it didn't do terribly. Like I did a little bit of bad like target like priority. and I failed like a 7-inch charge, which really fucked me over. But like honestly, if I had a better understanding of the guard codex and the custodes codex, like and the stratagems and things I could do, it would be like way better. So it wasn't terrible. Tried out the Poon Knight. The Poon Knight's kill tally was 2 squads of stealth suits and 1 very unlucky Pathfinder.
He got pooned.
He got pooned hard.
Straight pooned.
Just flat 10 damage to that Pathfinder because nothing else was in range.
Yeah, I was gonna say, now that I know GW has said that las cannons damage can't carry over. You know, like the other rest of the squad don't automatically die from him taking so many grievous wounds. Do you think other people with the Poon Knight though, because it's 10 flat, that like they just explode next to him?
I feel that it should be like a kebab of people where it just kind of hits them all in a row comically, like some Tom and Jerry kind of thing.
Oh, like old school fantasy bolt throwers or something?
Yeah. Oh, don't, you bastard. Why would you bring that up? That was so gross and amazing. But it was fun to play. So after those 2 games, I went like, okay, I'm going to go back to my Eldar now. For a little bit. I built and painted 3 knights in the past couple weeks.
Saw that.
Look at you.
Yeah, it's a tabletop quality. I still wanted to do like a couple more coats. I stole Danny your Thousand Suns like red and gold scheme, and man, does that thing go on quick.
It's a super easy way to paint those models, and your models too.
Yeah,
apparently.
and my models now. And then
designed for much smaller models, used on larger models, still works out just fine.
And then I'm like 50-50 on what to take to the tournament this weekend here. So I have like one list, which is nothing kind of but Rangers and Dire Avengers. And I have another list, which has a Webway gate, which instantly kind of makes me question a little bit there, but we'll see. So I bought 5 more Dire Avengers just to kind of get ready for being able to run 70 Dire Avengers.
Nice.
That's sexy. That's a lot of
very aroused by that.
The opposite of 11 models to paint, though.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. The opposite. But yeah, aside from that, I go up to very little. Oh, I built scenery.
Oh, yeah, for Ursa.
Yeah, for the big convention coming up, we spent the day building scenery for it there. Or what I like to call the HeroClix Liberation Project.
Was that what a lot of those pieces were
from? A lot of the pieces were from HeroClix.
I saw that and my thought was, is that Skylander's Trap Master?
No. So I made like a power generator out of 2 lanterns of O. And a bunch of like mushrooms and stuff like that. And like a bunch of Phoenix Fire things. But mainly I liberated the circular dial bases from them so I can incorporate them into my knights.
Did you
as wound markers?
Did you remember to grab some for me because I asked nicely and told you about it originally?
Yeah, probably did.
All right.
I think I have like 15 or something like that. I try, but no, a lot of it turned out really good. So it was about 5 of us just sitting making terrain all day. No, it was a good time.
Sounds like it was.
Yeah. So Danny, what you been up to?
Ooh, the skip over.
Yeah,
I like that. All right, so I've been doing some modeling, not as much as I would have liked. I built an Armiger, so that's been the product, the sum total of my hobby.
Bandwagoner.
Yeah, I know. It's just everybody's building knights. Oh, I guess I built. No, I'll take that back. I built several knights since the last time I built a couple of gallants.
You've built
too.
at least 2.
Yeah. I built a couple of gallants. I had some of the Questor Mechanicus heads, the Forge World ones. So I used those on those. Those heads are so cool. They're super sci-fi.
Forge World heads tend to be.
Yeah, everybody loves a little Forge World head.
Yeah.
So, so I did that. I've been playing actually a good amount. I played, I think, 2 games this last week, and 3 games last week, and I played 2 games the week before that. So I've been pretty busy just trying to get some games under my belt. I've been playing a lot of nights, so I've been switching off between running a lot of gallants or 1 gallant and 1 Knight Atropos from Forge World. Because I like that guy quite a bit. He's pretty versatile and tough. Because he has the 4+ invulnerable save from shooting already.
And you can now give him a +1 to that as well, right?
You sure can.
Ooh, that's spicy.
Yeah. And then, of course, everything became much spicier this week with the Knights FAQ dropping.
Yeah.
That's a word for it, yeah. So Chaos can get Knights now, so we're back to Chaos Soup and them having some more options.
Yeah, I'm happy about that.
Yeah, no, for sure, especially because like they released the box and like, Renegade, oh, look at this cool game we made, which is a little clunky but kind of fun. Go, can I do this in 40K? No.
Not allowed.
No, but here's how you convert his faceplate. You just cut that shit in half.
Yeah.
Just Dremel it. And then And then also the CP change to the formations was really nice.
Oh,
I feel like that's more. It's more in line to where it should have been.
Well, what it
It's
does,
a significant investment.
it does now make it so that you can run solo nights and still get all the cool kind of stuff.
Right.
Like before when we were looking at the codex, we're like, oh, yeah, you're still going to have to keep like 300 points aside for a little Imperial Guard battery. And now you don't necessarily have to do that.
No, you can do 490 for a Primaris battery and not feel bad about it.
I still feel kind of bad.
I would make me feel bad.
I would feel really bad.
You two are
Correct.
your own
Yeah.
people.
Right.
Thank
Perfect.
you, Dave.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
that
you.
was really nice of you.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been up to. Dave, what have you been up to?
I also played a game this week.
No.
In
We
the
got you
effort
back on the
to,
table?
Yeah, in an effort to try to understand better the current way that ITC is played, because I haven't actually played a single true ITC game since last season, before all the changes where you get to pick your own secondaries and whatnot.
And let's be honest, right? The ITC scenarios play way different than a standard book mission.
Oh yeah, very different. So I played with our buddy Nate. I had a list put together that I liked, and at the last second I changed it.
Good move.
Because
Solid.
Yeah.
because that's how I roll.
I think that's how everyone rolls, where you're like, yeah, this list is perfect. But what if this? And you're like, no, just leave the fuck alone. Go, play.
Yeah, I didn't
I don't do that.
I didn't think it was perfect. I wanted to try out the Preceptor mixed with my Armigers. So I borrowed a knight
Perceptor.
name X from one of our buddies, Taylor or Aaron. I honestly can't keep the two of them. They were playing each other that night, so I was like, it was one of the two of them. But I borrowed the
That
knight
rare piece of white racism.
right?
Right. Yeah, they look the
tell
same.
them.
I
They
can't
look
even
the
tell the
same.
difference between them. It was definitely Taylor.
Was it Taylor?
It was Taylor.
I don't remember. It
Was it-
died
was it-
so fast? And
Was it a
wasn't even
Wraith
funny.
Knight?
No.
Then it was Taylor.
Okay. But because the Preceptor model isn't out yet, and no idea when GW is going to release this fancy model that has a special gun that's different, that is exactly the same except for one arm for the.
I would guess Q3 2018.
You think Q3?
Yeah.
I heard it's coming out after Plastic Sisters, so never.
So
Ooh.
it's a straight call out there.
The so yeah, no. We threw down. Nate explained the secondaries, and I picked the secondaries that I thought would be best against his.
What did you pick?
Tau gun line.
Yeah.
I took old school because I figured that was the safest bet. I wasn't going to not kill a model in the first turn. I took Headhunter, and Character Killer, because Nate had like
That's
five
Headhunter.
Headhunter, and then what's the Destroy Big Models?
Oh,
Big
Big
Game
Game Hunter.
Big Game Hunter. So Headhunter and Big Game Hunter. Nate had 6 characters and 4 tanks. So it was solid choices of stuff that I'd be able to complete because I had a Primaris battery. So I didn't have a lot to go on. I also had
Primaris battery. That's like a car battery for a fucking alarm clock.
No, it's
It's a little
kind of battery
excessive
you
for
have
what
in
you
like
need.
it's a kind of battery. It's not a regular car battery. It's what you use in like a motorhome.
Or a vibrator.
Yeah.
I like the idea of
Your
of
vibrators are
Dave
a
going
little
up and be
different.
like, "Hey, so the little battery in my key fob's broken. Can I have a car battery to replace it?" Like, well, we
Well, I
have
wouldn't
these
lose it
here.
then.
The work like way better and is way cheaper. Like, no, the car battery
I
is
want
better.
the car battery.
Yeah, because
All right, here's a backpack for you, sir. It'll
Look
link
up-
up to a wire to your key.
Look how
I'd never lose my keys though. I mean, I'd always know where they were no matter
That's
what.
true. You
Yeah.
don't want to lose your keys.
oh no,
The so
That was awful today.
yeah.
Yeah. John
So-
lost his keys today.
Yeah.
Reference.
yeah.
Yeah. The so we threw down and first turn went pretty poorly for me. I just couldn't. My baby knights just hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s because they were standing right in front of the Preceptor. 2s. I was like, that's fine. We'll be good. Didn't manage to kill anything. Did a lot of damage to a couple different things, and watched him pass all of the battle shock tests basically. The morale tests. He was. I was like, yeah, cool. Except for the one that he could not pass, and just said, I'm just gonna auto pass it. Here's my 2 CP, and I was like, that's exactly what you should do. Perfectly played. Well done.
There's nothing more satisfying than pissing someone off by leaving one dude alive.
It's not the best.
He was like, look,
They're like, that ranger's not even going to do anything. Like, yeah, but it's the last turn, and I don't have anything else to use these points.
Yeah, and the thing is, I could have finished that unit off in the shooting phase, but I did the math. I said leadership is leadership 7. They lost 7.
And Dave, what did you learn?
I learned that definitely finish shooting the unit. Mm-hmm. Don't if you can, just finish it off.
Because people will spend that CP.
That was what he said. He said it's a real asshole move, but guess what? I'm going to do it just so that you learn. And I was like,
it's a real asshole move to keep my models alive.
Well, to deny that,
it's an asshole move for me to participate in this 2-player game,
right? And then we got all excited and into stuff, and then I completely forgot to shoot and charge stuff in turn 2. That really, I got done with my charge phase at the end of turn 2 and looked and saw a heavily damaged repulsor sitting an inch and a half away from his stealth suits. I went, oh God, I didn't shoot or charge. You know what? Never mind. We're playing an ITC game rather than a friendly game, so that it is what it is.
Also, I don't think you. I don't think you can hit if it's a heavily damaged repulsor. You're hitting on 6s, right?
I still can charge it.
Oh, fair, but yeah, and then those guys, the guys have the fly keyword, so they can jump on back and shoot you.
Right, but
and they're hitting you on 7s,
but they won't be able to advance or charge other things.
It's fair. Yeah,
right. It was a, it was a strategy. It was my plan after he nuked all of my knights in the first turn, except for one golden super Helverin that was like, "What's up?" He was.
What's his name, Dave?
Right now, it's freaking Neo.
Neo, okay.
Oh man, that's the edgiest thing I've heard.
Hold on.
I was just gonna say because he was dodging.
I put on my work gloves. I don't want to cut myself over there.
I work above a hot topic, and that's the edgiest thing I've seen all week.
So yeah, I learned an absolute crap ton, and I got absolutely my butt kicked.
But see, I feel like those are better. Like getting your ass kicked and learning a lot is way better than winning and be like, oh well, that was a fun game.
And my 2 favorite moments of the game for me were Nate on turn 3. I got ready to deep strike my Death Watch aggressors, and Nate and I looked at the board and I went, wow, there is no place for me to put these aggressors. And he looked at the board and went, I accidentally tactically perfect placed everything.
As is tradition.
Yes. Yep. I went perfect. All right, cool. So I'll just go over here, I guess, on my own deployment zone. And then my Death Watch captain charges out, fails his charge, and then gets shot at in the next turn and fails all of his invulnerable saves.
Oh.
And I went,
and now his
I
watch
know
is
Danny
ended.
says I'm not allowed to blame my dice, but can I blame this for 4 1s on 4 dice?
I mean, that's the 4th time you blame dice describing the game. I've been keeping count.
That's true. I see that on your notes over there.
Yeah. I made a little hash marks for that.
I tried really hard not to blame the dice.
Because honestly, it's the hardest thing to do.
It's really hard.
It's really hard.
So hard.
But here's the thing: like when you're playing and you're trying to get better at playing, like bad dice and acknowledging bad dice isn't going to help you get better.
No.
So you got to kind of like look past that, because otherwise, like I would write up like, oh, it was just bad dice. I was tactically perfect aside from that, and then no, it's you got to look past that.
I don't think anybody is actually tactically perfect.
I was tactically adequate.
Yeah, that's legit. But yeah, no, I learned and I tried really hard not to blame the dice during the game.
And then afterwards, you're like, fucking dice.
Well, it wasn't.
Throw these things in the fucking trash.
And then we all went out for drinks afterwards, and we discussed it. And Nate said I actually did play it well. I screwed up in a couple spots, and this is where I would fix it. So
nice. Well, at least you got
learning games.
Yeah, at least you got notes of that.
Yeah, that's what playing ITC games with friends is all about.
No, that and crushing them.
Friendship. Yeah, so that's it. And we got that tournament coming up this weekend. I'm actually not going to be able to attend as I'm still remodeling everything in my house before all my kids get back. But
yeah, fair enough.
I need a new recording studio, apparently.
I'm still on the fence between Dire Avengers and making the webway gate work, because there's part of me that just wants to make it work.
Yeah, and that's cool. Like, I think that kind of thought process is fine. Like, it's okay to experiment. It's not like this is a big deal or anything.
Yeah, I mean, everybody experiments a little bit in ITC. You know, I mean,
everyone does.
Out of ITC though,
I'm a little gate curious.
I'm a little tournament curious.
I really want you to take 3 gates and play like a shell game with them. You know. Let them put nothing else on the table.
I legitimately looked at how much. So it would be 360 points to take 3 gates. Mm-hmm. The rules for the webway gate says that your guys can come out of any of the gates. So technically, I think when one gate is destroyed, you can use a command point to pop it out of another gate at the other side of the table,
You just put your guys in the webway square, and they're there. They can come out of any gate you want.
Yeah. So it would be 360. That's one detachment. But then what do you put in each of those gates? So I was looking at maybe.
Do you want to borrow my gate?
I was thinking maybe Wraithguard. Okay. So like I'll get some Wraithguard in there, but that's like 300 points for that unit. So if you multiply by 3, that's 900. It's like 1,400 points almost. For a ball and cup gimmick, which would be hilarious and is going to give someone a really bad third round after I go like 2 straight losses. But
I just think it would be awesome. I was also thinking that you could put a bunch of fire prisms in there because it keeps them protected. Because again, they got to blow up the gates before they can shoot
the nice thing about it is you can actually put anything within 9 inches of the gate when you're deploying or deep striking, so you could effectively cut off the entire table.
Yeah, it's basically like scouts, right? I mean,
yeah. So it's like 3 giant toughness 8, 16 wound scouts.
Right.
You just have to be careful too because you place them like a normal unit gets placed. So if somebody blocks you off, that can be an issue too.
Yeah, but you can come out of the front or the back of the gate. They would have to completely surround it.
Right. front or back.
Front or back. Your choice.
No. What I'm saying, Dave, is during deployment, like they can screw you over on where you can put your gate down because the gate gets placed just like a unit gets placed during deployment. So if someone has scouts or nurglings or something similar, they can actually block off. Like if they deploy first, they can say, "Oh, okay, well here's like 5 nurglings, and I'm going to deny all this space."
Because you can't go near the objectives, you can't go near the edge, can't go near your deployment zone. Like one well-placed unit in the center, you're boned. And we're terrain heavy up here. I might have talked myself out of that one there.
Sorry, I'm sorry that I.
You know what? I wish Danny had 3 gates and a bunch of fire prisms because that's what I would like to borrow. I want to do a shell game. I think
shell game.
I wouldn't even borrow the codex. I'd just be like, I'm good.
As long as I could play like some Carney music in the background, be like, come on up, destroy the gate. Where's it coming out of? Oh no!
Find the queen.
Wraith Knights in this one. Awkward pauses.
No, people should love that.
Yeah,
yeah, that sounds great.
That's our thing.
Man, John, thanks for making sure our listeners stay tuned.
Yeah, what I do have is
I was really pleased that we were.
News.
Oh,
yeah. Okay, that's enough of that. Okay, so I found went to the most reliable sources on the internet that I could find to kind of get the hidden Games Workshop news and what's coming next.
Yeah, sure.
So I went to Daka, I went to Warseer, I went to Spiky Bits comment section. I went to everywhere I could find. I talked to my uncle's brother's friend's cousin, who knows a guy who works for the packaging company who makes the cardboard boxes that Games Workshop's products go into. And I got the latest news on a bunch of stuff.
Okay,
so this is breaking news.
This is breaking news.
Breaking news.
So, due to the success of Warhammer Adventures, Black Library is working closely with Disney to produce a 2-episode Phineas and Ferb crossover event next year. The currently untitled project will see the technologically savvy boys repair the Golden Throne while their platypus pal Perry takes down the evil Abaddon. And this is going to transition directly into 9th edition of the game because, as we know, everything that happens in a book is 100% canonical and will forever change the timeline.
Yeah, that seems legit.
That's true.
Yeah, that's legit. Yeah.
That is.
That's all I got right now. I mean, hopefully Jim, like my brother's cousin's uncle's friends, whatever the fuck I said, gets back to me later on with some more. But yeah, that's what I got right now.
Oh man,
dude, I'm the best. I took first place at another tournament.
First off, stop with the thunder and lightning. You don't impress me. And second, let me check out the BCP rankings. And I don't see you on there.
What?
Your TO needs to download the Best Coast Pairings app and run events on it. After the event, the results are uploaded into BCP rankings, and the best part, it's easy and free.
But I play multiple game systems.
No big deal. The BCP app can be used for any game. A ton of events every weekend are using it, from major international tournaments to local stores. And now that it's available on Android devices, you're going to have some serious competition.
There can be only one.
BCP Rankings is a fun and exciting way to measure how you or your team stack up. No matter what you play, your score goes to an overall ranking, or compete to be the best in a game, a circuit, a region, or the world.
Download the app or visit www.bestcoastpairings.com for more info.
Best Coast Pairings.
Are you the best?
Eisenhorn?
Eisenhorn?
Yeah, Knights
from
Knights into Eisenhorn. Is that what we're doing?
Did we read the same book as each other?
I've been drinking.
Yeah, we're here to talk about
Eisenhorn.
Eisenhorn. And I was gonna get a big old alarm siren and kind of spoiler warning and all that other kind of stuff. But it's been 17 years. You probably there's some people who are younger than this book.
Just wish Danny was a faster reader to us so that we could have read it faster.
Yeah, sorry, it's all my fault. I totally didn't finish this.
I'm not going to put spoiler warnings. We are going to be talking about spoilers and events in the book. I still heartily recommend. Spoilers. You read it regardless of what we say here today.
Yeah.
Because short synopsis, it's a phenomenal book, and I think one of my favorite Black Library books I've read so far.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Or I'm sorry, listened to so far.
God.
So
Philistines.
yeah, I will. Full disclosure, I bought and downloaded the audiobook.
As did I. No, I got an Audible
right
subscription, and the guy
Toby Longworth.
Toby Keith?
Toby Longworth. Yeah,
I would have loved Toby Keith.
Toby Keith reading it to me.
Imagine Toby Keith reading it.
Y'all.
And then Eisenhorn strides out of the cutter.
Cherry Bale.
I will admit that I had to start reading along with it because some of the ways that he was saying words made me go,
Oh, proper English ways.
no, incorrect ways. No, proper English ways. Some of the words that he was saying, I would hear it and go, what? And have to pause and look and find how the word was spelled so I could understand what he was actually saying.
I see.
Names of things.
Arbites.
Oh, I wanted to stab somebody in the face when I heard that.
Oh, man, I need to start saying that now.
Arbites. That was I was like, oh, that's how that's pronounced. But no, he does a great job in reading it here. There's 30 different voices he does, and it does really well, and it doesn't come off corny or anything at all.
The Elizabeth was a little bit.
Well, it's a guy, so
Yeah, it was a little not that great, but I was like, oh.
But Eisenhorn would be there was this great period for Black Library, 2001 when this came out, 1999 through 2001. Right. Your Games Workshop, you're rolling in Hobbit money, you're just throwing shit out there. And a couple of these things, one was Gaunt's Ghosts.
Yeah, sure.
Which I'm sure we're going to go into in the future.
I think Gaunt's Ghosts was in the 90s, though. I think we covered that last time.
That's why I said 1999 to 2001.
Oh, sorry.
Good.
Thank you. Fact checker Danny. And then the other one.
Approved.
That was a seal of approval.
It's my punch of approval.
But the other one was Eisenhorn, written by Dan Abnett. Dave.
Also
written by Dan Abnett.
Dan Abnett. So what I found interesting in researching this was that he wrote Gaunt's Ghosts, and then he was sitting there, and they had started working on their Inquisitor game.
Right.
And they literally just sent him a little bit of stuff and said, "Can you do something with this?"
Yep.
And then he wrote Eisenhorn, Which is one of the better 40K books ever.
God.
Xenos, the Eisenhorn Xenos, which is what we read.
The whole trilogy is honestly pretty phenomenal. So
yeah, but I didn't have $100 to get that much audiobooks, so
sure,
we'll get to it later.
But no, it's like I said, it's a fantastic book, and it follows kind of the exploits of Inquisitor Gregor Eisenhorn on kind of the middle of his investigation. It does come in with some assumptions about the reader's knowledge of 40K and how the universe works, though not huge amounts.
Right.
And it shows a side of 40K that you wouldn't normally see, right? The domestic side.
The domestic side, it really does. It the different parts of the world and just the entire encompassing 4KU, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So yeah, our novel begins as we're flying down to Hubris, which is this kind of backwater world in the Imperium, where it's a third winter all the time for years. It's like Game of Thrones style, summer and winter.
Yeah. Exactly.
And just the best name ever for a planet,
right? It's Oh man, yeah,
Hubris.
Yes,
and the people that live there.
And the season of winter is called Dormant.
Yeah,
which is I also really liked,
because if you're rich enough on Hubris, you can just freeze yourself.
Yeah, freeze yourself and wake up later.
And so we're halfway through kind of Eisenhorn's investigation into Murdain Iclone. And man, this is Star Wars levels of names in this book, and I love every single minute of it.
They're good.
But Murdain Iclone is kind of like a head honcho chaos cultist guy. and Eisenhorn's been chasing him for like years. And he chases him to hubris through kind of like inquisitorial things. He's like, yeah, I tracked him down here, no big. But we get this great scene of like Eisenhorn arriving in his I love the names of the ships in this book as well. His gun cutter is the name of class of his ship. Is a gun cutter. So he kind of lands down there with his.
And that could be anything you want, right? Like, I mean, like just anything you could visualize, because it's not like clearly it's not a Valkyrie, right? And it's not it's something that we've conceptualized.
So in my head, and I cheated. I played the video game, so I kind of know what they think it looks like there as well.
Oh, okay.
Artist rendering.
I feel that it looks like to me the Hawk 290. From the ship Kyle Katarn flies in Dark Forces, the Star Wars Dark Forces games.
See, I always pictured it as the Imperial shuttle.
Oh, yeah.
Like, but maybe without the big like fin on the back.
Yeah. See, but when and oddly enough, when I started, hearing about the gun cutter, I actually kind of pictured it as the new Death Watch flyer.
Oh yeah, I could see that too. I could see that.
I mean, but I wouldn't. I'm now reading it not in 2001, which I would have come up with that. There's,
and also really like the Hawk 290 from Star Wars.
It's pretty cool.
But yeah, so Eisenhorn goes down with his what's the name of the chick he goes down with there? It's
Vibin.
There we go. Yeah. So
Loris Vibin.
He goes down with Loris Vibin, and they kind of like go through Processional 212, which is a fancy name for where. Like I think 20,000 of 12,000 of the Imperial elite are sleeping. They're on stasis because it's cold out and they're not going to come out because they're rich enough to be in hypersleep.
Did you picture it as a pyramid? I pictured it as a pyramid for some reason.
I pictured it like the Matrix.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I can see that.
Like the battery pods in the Matrix.
But like so all exposed outside?
Yeah. So you'd be able to see everything there.
Right.
Just because like it's like maybe the very rich people had private rooms and pods, but they probably had like different packages. Like, well, I can hibernate you for 20 years, but you're in view.
I was also thrown off because when you first land, they start talking about custodians. And I was like, why the hell are custodes on this planet?
Because janitors. Right. They need janitors there.
Right.
Golden janitors.
Custodians.
You don't know that?
Right.
They never say they're not custodians.
Yeah.
Shut up.
They clearly don't. So
But through this kind of chase, and he meets up with Iclone, and kind of they have this great action sequence chase through these things, and then at some point, whoopsie daisy, we start waking everyone up early.
Oh, it's not whoopsie daisy; it's on purpose.
Yeah.
That guy's a dick.
Yeah. Iclone wakes everyone up. And to kind of like get away and distract at this point in the book, this is what we think he's doing.
Basically, like pushing a chair in front of Eisenhorn, like as they run. Except he's he's just letting a bunch of people defrost.
But what's really cool about this,
pulling ladders over in front of them,
right?
And stuff.
Right.
This isn't like Star Wars where you hit the carbonite and Han falls out and he's all okay and he's just a little blind. Like literally, if these people aren't taken out of these canisters in very specific ways, they will all die.
Right.
And it's. What really hit me is there's one where there's like a woman that's like dead, like dying on the ground and all like thing, and then she begs him, like, and he's like, I should have killed her, but I didn't because I had to go get this guy. And then they says the line, "Do you think me weak?" And I'm like, oh shit, he's talking right to me,
right?
And like that's the first time in the book it comes across as this isn't the way this book is structured is that this is a recounting of events to me.
Yeah.
Like an official inquisitorial report, which for me, with my kind of like 3 credits of English literature, is like instantly pulls the rest of the book into question for me. Because how much can I trust the events of the book? Because it's from one point of view.
Yeah, so Dan Abnett said one of his greatest regrets was deciding to write this book in first person. So he said that, like, he's like, whatever editor talked me into letting me write this in first person. Like, by the time he gets to Ravener, he's like, what was I thinking?
Well, like I said, I feel like I enjoy the part because, like, for me, I'm like, oh shit, there's this, and like I said, for me, it calls into question the events of the rest of the book, and also he's pretty much going to live for a lot of it because. Who's he recounting to?
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. I was like, well, I know he's not going to. Oh, man, he's really in a bad spot here. Is he going to die? Oh, no, wait, there's still another 150 pages. Clearly, he's not going to die because he has to tell me the test.
Well,
so we're chasing Iclone. There's alarm bells. Everyone's dying around them. People are coming out in pods. And this is also the first time we start to see for me, a really good picture of how psychic powers work in 40K.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Because we hear like descriptions of like, oh, he shot a fireball from his hand, or he conjured this, he did this. And the way Eisenhorn describes using, he says, his will, legitimately terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not that powerful. Eisenhorn is not that.
Oh, man.
No, Eisenhorn isn't that powerful a psychic.
At this stage of the book,
He's at least mastery level 2.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I paid an extra 25 points for that.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
But at this stage of the book, all I know is he's in cover. He has 2 other people shooting at him, and he just shouts, "Walk out." And then the 2 guys just walk out.
I like that they kind of go, huh? And walk out, whereas Iclone is there at the same time, and he says, I knew Iclone, it wouldn't work on him because he's too powerful of a psyker, and he's been through the same training I have, but his goons, they're idiots. You know?
Right.
Straight up murders the goons.
Yeah.
And it comes down to this fantastic kind of confrontation on like a landing pad, which kind of I imagine as the... I'm all full of Star Wars references today. The fight on the Camino landing pad between Boba Fett and Obi-Wan.
Oh, sure.
Like that
I
kind
thought
of
it was
layout.
more like the Sky Shield landing pad.
Well, yeah, but with a Sky Shield landing pad, obviously.
Right.
Between kind of the goons and iClone, and then all of a sudden it describes the gun cutter kind of coming around, just opening fire and just like ripping apart pretty much every cultist on the top.
Everybody that's left, yeah.
Yeah, apart from iClone. And iClone gets up real close. He almost gets old Eisenhorn in like the first chapter there. And it's very like the way the fear is taught here as well. And this is something else that Dan Abnett does really well in this book is everything is a threat. Like we've read a lot of Space Marine battle books between us where, you have one Space Marine like killing 70,000 people and, striding through and through. But like literally everything in this book, like, oh shit, he's dead or he's in a lot of danger right now.
Yeah. Right.
And really kind of exacerbating that sense of danger. Because what is it that finally kills Iclone?
He shoves Loris's pistol into and blows his brains out all over the gun cutter, which
and the bullet ricochets off the windshield.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, sorry.
Is
about
it
that.
described as well that the
It
back
is.
of the gun is sticking out the back of the dude's head because he literally punched through his skull and shot at the same time?
What does he say? He says, so I punched the gun so hard into his mouth, the trigger guard broke his lower teeth. He tried to reach for something on his belt, and I fired. Having emptied his brain case and shattered it into the bargain, the round still had so much force it crossed the deck and plinked off the armored nose of the gun cutter. Sorry, I said. Don't worry about it, says the pilot.
But it's not quite over because now we get to see how
He has to deal with the
Eisenhorn
aftermath of
he
that.
has to deal with the bureaucracy of the Imperium because we're always told, man, Inquisitor's power is limitless. They can do what they want. But that's not necessarily true based on kind of what we see in this book here. A side note, all of the 12,000 people in Processional 212 who accidentally got woken up by Iclone, they all died.
Happy lives. Right. Oh, shit.
They all died. So that's a huge amount of the ruling elite that are now not there anymore. And so Eisenhorn gets summoned in front of kind of like a court to answer for his crimes. And like he says how I could just say I'm an Inquisitor and I could use that power. But if I ever want their help again, I'm fucked.
Right, exactly.
Or they could make things like really stupid little things to delay my journey. So I got to kind of play along a little bit there.
And that's why he doesn't want to shoot the woman, right? In the beginning when he's crossing over, he's like, man, this is going to be a lot of red tape for me.
Oh no, he does say it. It's like, I like this way I can blame all of the death on Iclone. If my bullet's in her brain, then I
have to explain
I have
that.
to explain
Right.
that.
So,
Yeah, it's...
it's super cold, but I mean, pretty rational, right? So
Yeah, and this is where we meet Uber Amos. I think that's the Savant, right?
Oh yeah.
The meme lord, which
man.
cost me
Yeah, I laughed.
no
at that too.
end of giggles. Again, a really solid characterization for not much character work. He's described as he gets very nervous and he calms himself down by learning. So he's like constantly writing, constantly kind of taking stuff down. Like Eisenhorn is described as being very irritated by him at times.
So, I mean, at this point, you've met Low Ink, the astropath.
Yep.
Right.
Midas Betancourt, his pilot / right-hand man, fighter guy.
Yeah.
Right.
And then Loris, who's dead.
Yep. That was basically his whole retinue at that point.
Yeah.
So you've met them all there. And then he goes through the trial and basically says, I'll let you, challenge me here. But I could just say I'm an Inquisitor and walk away. So we're just going to call this even here.
Well, what's funny is it kind of like the way it's written, it escalates. So it starts off with him not using his will and just talking and explaining. And then they both kind of feed off each other to get madder and madder and madder at each other to the point where Eisenhorn's like, okay, I'm an Inquisitor.
Right. And then he's like, hey, we're going to go talk in your quarters, right? So he goes off with like the lead magistrate or whatever, who's, I believe that guy was still sick from getting woken up.
Yeah, he was barely
Right,
saved.
right.
They woke up a bunch of the nobles, which imagine, you pay your money, you get put down until like dormant is over, and they wake you up and like, sir, 12,000 nobles died. Can you go talk to the guy responsible? You've been asleep a year. Sorry you feel so shitty.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And then so he goes and talks with the governor or the magistrate or whatever it is, right? And that guy assigns him Fishig.
Yes.
Yeah, to follow him around.
Right.
See this through the end to make sure that
They are BTs.
RBDs.
Like, that's how you pronounce it. I'm like, oh, shit. I guess I've been saying it wrong.
Man, I got to start saying it that way.
you don't have to start saying it. Please don't.
I'm going to.
the RBDs.
It's important. I had to train myself not to stay custodes.
Yeah, 'cause
and I
it's
still
custodes.
slip. It's custodes.
And that's why it's RBDs.
Exactly, because you have to pronounce every vowel. They do an autopsy of iClone.
Yeah.
And so, and that's where they do the auto seance with Loink.
Yes.
And that's where they kind of, like Dave had kind of mentioned, you meet Loink, which is his astropath.
Right.
And so they're able to go through some of his stuff, and he learns like a key code that comes into play later. And then also when they're noticing some stuff going on with his hand, before he can really issue a warning, like the doctor like pulls off his fingernail or whatever, and then in a secret compartment there is some kind of like nano worm that like starts like warp entity thing that starts to grow and like starts attacking them, kind of like an alien from the movie, like one of the little alien spawns that pop out like a chest burster.
Yeah.
And starts attacking her. Then she has to kill it with a surgical saw, which is an interesting choice.
Yeah. Well, it's,
A lot of awesome deaths in this book. By the way.
Man, yeah.
use what you got on hand, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But they do get the name Pontius from the kind of the psychic readings here. Yeah, it's the name of this game. So with Fishik in tow, we head up to an apartment building. It's found out that one of the people who might know something about iClone's arrival and how he got there. Some of the signals came from this apartment building in the north. So off they go to kind of investigate that.
In a land speeder.
And that is not, there's Imperial Guard land speeders in this as well. Yeah.
Sure.
Which means like, oh man, I would want that.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But we get to the apartment building, and this is kind of when Fishik really comes into his own, because he like drops security grids, he like lets them get in, and again, this idea of unlimited power is only good if people listen to you. It's super happy to have helpful to have someone on planet who knows what they're doing. They get in there, and they find a naked chick, and they're like, oh.
I hope to find that every time I walk into a room.
And she's very surprised by the presence of like an Inquisitor, all these Arbites, and members of the Inquisition or Ratsunu. And then our guy that we're looking for kind of comes out the toilet.
Right.
Then
So firefight ensues.
Well, naturally.
As you do.
Half-naked chick, gunfight.
Half-naked chick, gunfight. Boom, boom, boom. They capture the guy who started the gunfight. And it turns out he's been kind of like psychically duped into helping out. So he doesn't know anything.
Right.
He's being taken on by iClone. iClone's kind of used his psychic powers to kind of get obedience without real thought. So he doesn't know anything. So Eisenhorn is like, okay, tell me about the Pontius. And as soon as he says that, it sets off a mental trigger, which instantly kills him.
Right, gives him an aneurysm.
Gives him an aneurysm and kills him right away. And also sets off bombs outside the window.
Right.
Which explode and kind of bring in the dormant winter, which is very cold. And then it's a fast escape back with very little information, but
and a half-naked chick.
And your half-naked chick.
Standard issue.
Standard 40K.
Yeah.
That's why there's been no Plastic Sisters battle so far.
So we got so he meets who? Oh my God,
Elizabeth Beekman.
Elizabeth, thank you.
Yeah. Beckon.
Is it Beckon?
I think it's Beckwin.
Beckwin.
Yeah, Beckwin.
Bacon.
Bacon.
So you meet
Bacon.
Bacon.
You meet
Mavis
her, and
Beacon.
she turns out to be what's known as a blank, meaning she emits that null psychic zone, like kind of like
The Sister of Silence on the tabletop.
The
Yeah.
Sister of Silence.
Or
So
the Colexis assassin.
Yeah. They're super rare. What I liked about it was like he kept on saying how much he hated her. Like there's 2 pages of description in the book about how much he doesn't like her.
So it's said many times that blanks really mess with people. Like they mess with people in general, but they really mess with psychers a lot. And through all the history of lore and like all the stuff we've talked about over the years is they say, hey, listen, you feel ill next to these people. That's why you don't want to be around them and why you don't like them. But over the course of the book, he seems to get used to it.
Yeah,
And
because
really happy with it.
the interesting thing is Beckwin doesn't know she's a blank. She's gone from kind of system to system, world to world as a kind of a pleasure girl, is the polite way to put it. And
That's a whore.
She's a whore. But she goes from system to system, kind of plying her trade until for whatever reason she's chased away because she's just like done as I drop my pen. But like so Eisenhorn is like, I know, I want your services, and she's like, oh yeah, big boy, you want me to try? She tries to like fuck him, and he was like,
It's like, get off me.
yeah, because she touches him and describes how repulsed he is to be even touched by her or even in the same room as her. But no, so now we have kind of our psychic blank here, which comes in super handy.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, lots of times.
We get some great detective work in this book as well, which shows us our next location. Which is away from the planet of Hubris, which they're allowed to leave under the condition that Fishik goes with them.
Right. Because they're still under investigation.
Which, at the same time, you're like, being an Inquisitor, just wave that tape away. But then, yeah, this is probably better. So they figure out about 3 different planets that he could have come from, or 3 systems he could have come on based on, it was a decaying psychic signal.
Right.
Oh no, it was lag on the psychic signal.
Right,
Because
exactly.
this was like this many hours lag from this time, so that's how we know
this is a range of planets that are close enough.
And that's when we find what was the name of the world they get to there?
Gudrun.
Yeah. Gudrun. Gudrun is a massive trade place.
Mm-hmm.
Fairly large planet, actually.
Very large planet.
Yeah, but not like hyper industrialized, like a hive world would be or something like that. Because there are still like wilderness tracks to the world and things like that.
Yeah,
that are covered in vegetation.
So that's when we he co-ops kind of a bigger ship to warp travel, because I guess the gun cutter doesn't have warp travel capabilities.
I don't think so.
So he co-opts, was it
the Essen?
Yeah, the Essen, which is Tobias Maxilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, his ship, and he's like an eccentric rogue trader.
He's really cool.
He's super cool. He's alone with nothing but servitors to kind of keep him company.
And when Eisenhorn takes control of him, he's like, all right, so how much you paying me? Okay, I'll get you here this fast. And he's like, wow, that's really,
Eisenhorn pays
really
very
fast.
well. That's something we've learned in this. So they head for Gudrun. And then they come out of the warp. They translate into real space in Gudrun.
It's like 11 days, right?
In 11 days it takes to get. Something else I liked about this book is it was very precise and detailed about the amount of time this takes. Like for me, before you go into the warp and instantly you're out at the other place. Sure. But this is like extended 11 days of travel through the warp. With what we know about the warp, 11 days with your Galler field and nothing else, like a lot of shit can happen then. Sure. But so they come out of Gudrun and the sky, like the space around the planet is just full of ships. Like it's hugely populated right now. Sure. And they kind of figure out what's going on. They're celebrating the raising of the 50th Guard Regiment to come from this planet. Yep. But 750,000 people being raised for this great crusade that's going on. Everyone's celebrating and everyone's happy. And then we're coming along and they get the party. They get a call from the Imperial Navy. It was like, yeah, we need to board your ship for a random inspection.
Yeah, so for the rogue trader is like, hey man, will you stand with me? Yeah. Like so I look so I look better for these guys when they inspect my ship. He's like, man,
what do you have to hide?
Yeah, I'll stand with you, but man, if you're holding something, you better tell me, because like no, I will bust your ass
so bad.
I
like that he just says no.
Exterminatus. I will go exterminatus on your ass.
Things will go faster with an Imperial Inquisitor.
Right.
He's like, well, what do you think they're looking for? And he goes, nothing, because I don't have anything. These 12 guys board the ship, come inside, and just start, and they're looking at him. And Eisenhorn's standing there, and they're asking him questions and going over all the stuff. and then Eisenhorn says, hey, I can't help but notice you don't have any scanners or paperwork or anything that you want to know, and you haven't identified yourself yet. Who are you? And the guy tells him, he says, okay, well, I'm Eisenhorn. And the guy says, oh, you're Eisenhorn.
Right. And that's when the guns come out.
And that's when the shooting starts.
And yeah, all the guards start just shooting away. And of course, Eisenhorn and the rogue trader, they're not ready or expecting a gunfight whatsoever. Right. But there's a fantastic action sequence again of Eisenhorn essentially running away.
Yeah. No, that's really accurate.
I like that Eisenhorn and Betancourt, Midas Betancourt, have like key codes just trained back and forth. Like he can
cue, their language glossia.
Yeah, he can just hit up his like Vox link twice, and then Midas comes running, knowing that something's wrong without having to say anything. Twice for bring me a soda, 3 times for bad guys shooting at me,
for a pork chop,
once for a handy.
Yeah, it and they use it, and sometimes sadly, when you're listening to the audiobook and you're paying attention to other stuff and suddenly this random code of words just pops up in the middle of nowhere, you kind of got to go, wait, what?
Yeah.
And so I was getting a soda. Bird 7250 hut hike arises. What?
And they're like, dormant, potato, starch feather, copy.
I was like, what? Hold on. What could that possibly mean?
I did try translating as I go, but I'm like, no, I don't even know.
Did you?
Yeah. And it bugged me. Like halfway through the book, they would just be like, Fexula, silk, carpet badger.
Well, like, okay, so it's like Aegis desires thorn arising, that kind of stuff, right? Like, so like obviously, like he wants him to come there. He tells him if there's danger. So you can kind of translate pieces and parts of it, but it doesn't have to be perfect. I don't think that's the point of the code language. Like it changes every time.
I hope so, because it literally, he didn't even need to speak in code, every time he did it. He was like by himself or,
what if somebody's listening to his Vox link?
And they probably already knows his code.
Yeah, well, I couldn't figure it out after an entire book of it. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
So it's that complicated.
So we very slowly kill the guardsmen, or I'm sorry, the fake guardsmen that are here to kill Eisenhorn, including one great, like there's 2 of them chasing him in the engine room. Oh. So he decides to emergency undock their ship, which sucks them all out into space.
I thought that was pretty awesome. I also like that he's running towards Betancourt. Like he comes around a corner and he's like, oh, Betancourt, thank God. And Betancourt raises up his gun and shoots at him. Now, at that point, I was like, what? And then it turns out there was a guy right behind him. And, he's like, I shot the guy behind you. I was aiming for him the whole time. Let's do stuff.
Got him.
And so the captain of the ship has been shot many times.
So does Fishig at this point too.
Yeah,
he gets really badly hurt.
Fishig is shot badly as well. There's a lot of injuries. This is when we find out that Maximilus is a majority machine.
Yes, he's pretty much a Megos of his own making.
Yeah, from the neck down, he's pretty much all machine. So on the plus side, super easy to repair. And it kind of explains why he lives alone with a bunch of servitors and all that kind of stuff there. But what we get now is a great conversation, and again, this shows like a different side of how the Imperium treats Inquisitors, when we get like a really high-ranking officer of the Imperial Navy kind of answering for what the fuck just happened.
Right. And
Eisenhorn just kind of lays down the law on this guy, and this poor guy is being like as honest as he could be, and he was like, oh well, this happened and this happened, and he's like, really? Because it didn't. Because
that's not how that went down.
Like they said that the message came directly from the Vox on the ship that the deserters, they were called deserters.
Right. They were deserters.
Yeah. We learned that like it used to be a 500,000 person regiment that was being raised, and then all of a sudden it was raised to 750,000. So there's lots of pissed off people, and they were saying these 12 people deserted. And I'm like, oh, so these 12 new conscripts were able to fly a spaceship from the ground to orbit past this trek
with the proper codes.
And the proper, and then all the message came from the ship like, oh, really? Because my astropath says it came from the planet astropathically. Do you have an astropath on that ship, sir? He's like, no, I'm sorry. And he's just super nervous about it. But at this point, he decides to go like, don't tell anyone about this. We're going to let them think they succeeded and that we're dead.
Right.
And this is when we get to Gudrun itself, and Eisenhorn goes there pretending to be a grain merchant.
Right, of Xenos grain.
A Xenos grain merchant.
So is it Xenos grain modified? Is that a problem?
Oh, it's XMO.
I think a great part of this is when they're going up and they meet the person, and Eisenhorn's pretending to be this grain merchant, and Beckwin is pretending to be his like
bored wife.
his high class bored wife.
Yeah.
And she does such a fucking good job.
And he's not expecting it, right? He's like,
yeah.
oh, okay, cool. Good job.
Shit.
Yeah, he's
You're gonna be dead
expecting
weight.
nothing of her, and she's like, "I'm bored. The other people gave us all this money and free stuff." Like, "Oh shit, we'll give you this. What do you want?" And she like lists off all this high class stuff that she has to have, and he's like, "Okay, shit, that really works." But it really helps sell because he starts to ask questions that he can, like Eisenhorn isn't able to answer, and Beckwin's able to kind of jump in with this, "Oh, bring me
And
this
redirect.
fancy tea," and redirect, and while still not kind of giving them away.
And he says, so they're there and they want to, they're using their grain merchant connections to try to connect with the House of
Glaw.
Glaw.
Right? House Glaw, saying that so-and-so told me that we should, House Glaw would be the person, the right people to redistribute it to the planet and, get us the best profit for our grain from our weird planet that we're from.
What was super good was he was like, it's a specially cultured one, so you've lost all your men. This is easier to take care of. And the guy's like, is it Xenos cultured? And Eisenhorn's like, will that be a problem? And he's like, oh, no. And like you think, oh, he just wants to shoot that guy right now. Right. Like, pull out a badge and be like, yeah, I got a really good grain bust.
I like that it's cereal. It's because the planet is losing all of its farmhands effectively, so they won't be able to grow enough food, and he's using that as the reason why, this is cereal, so you'll be able to feed all your people.
And he has at this point kind of a suspicion that it's the Glaw family because it goes into the history of the Glaws and how they kind of fell to chaos a few thousand years ago.
It wasn't even that long. It was just a couple of generations ago. Like
Pontius Glaw fell to chaos.
Pontius Glaw, who is dead, is part of the factoring in with this, which is why we came to this planet in the first place. Because they figured out how iClone got to the planet and got onto the planet of Hubris in the first place with this rogue captain. So they send out like a fake message, like I'm looking to hire somebody, so that they can get the fake captain or the captain of
and there's like so they send these drones with messages on this planet to like send letters. So instead of sending a letter, you send a drone.
And it tracks you by your scent.
Right, it smells you.
Like those Oathbreaker missiles.
Right, they smell dishonor. And so anyway, like he tries to get in contact with this rogue trader. Shit goes sideways. The rogue trader kind of escapes, but one of his minions, they kind of try and like chase him down.
He steals a hover car, and Eisenhorn gets on a hover bike and chases after him. Now, mind you, all the revelry is happening at this point in time from all these guardsmen who are being raised, and so they're drunkenly partying apparently in all these canals. I imagine the city is very similar to Venice.
Die.
Sure.
Woo.
And he, the rogue trader captain, tries to take the hover car or whatever he's got, or the boat that he jumped in the gondola.
Oh, right. It is the rogue trader himself. Yeah.
Because
you're right,
and he like slams into the party boats. Of course, the guardsmen aren't going to have that, so it turns into this big old thing.
Because he pulls out a gun, and then they're like, I don't think so, buddy.
Hey, there's 60 of us with las rifles. What are you going to do with that?
First rank fire, second rank fire.
So they board
it's super effective.
And he ends up exploding and dying. And I was like,
oh, and that's what brings Voke out of hiding, because he's like, what
so that happens before.
Fuck?
Dude, what are you doing?
I was like, I was following that guy.
So I like that scene because it was very James Bond in the canals of Venice type thing, where it was like, or Indiana Jones, when they're chasing.
There you go. It's like Indy. So then they're in their hotel room, and Haldane, who features in the Gaunt's Ghost books on several different occasions, tries to break into their house.
And then they have the gun battle.
Yeah. Well, they have kind of like a
psyker battle.
Tough up. Yeah. And then, so then Voke is like, I don't approve of you sneaking around. Like, he's like a more direct inquisitor. Like
if he was on Hubris, he would be like, yes, 20,000 people died, but because they needed to, I'm an inquisitor. Let me go the fuck on my business.
Right, exactly.
How many of you are in here? Do you want to make it 20,021? He's a very direct inquisitor. In fact, Eisenhorn says he doesn't really like his methods.
Well, he says he's beaten.
Yeah, he does.
he says he's been investigating the claws for years. And that's something Eisenhorn points out is like, well, if you're doing it right, then you wouldn't need years.
Sure.
And this, I think Eisenhorn's super young at this point here, too.
He's 48 years
He's
old.
48.
For an Inquisitor, that is super young.
Right. It's before he starts having a bunch of rejuvenation
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
Right.
So like I said, maybe that's kind of the new way is kind of the stealthy way. But he pretty much says, like, stay the fuck out my way. Don't ruin this for me. And Eisenhorn kind of suggests working together to kind of bring down everyone.
So Vogue sends along Haldane with Eisenhorn to go to Houseclaw.
But Haldane is forced to join, and this is the second person now forced on Eisenhorn.
And Eisenhorn doesn't like Haldane.
He does not like Haldane at all.
And so Haldane and Midas come on as like they are supposed to look like hired muscle, like his bodyguards.
Well, and he brings pretty much his entire retinue with him.
Right, but except for Lowink.
Yeah,
He doesn't bring Lowink with him.
Right.
but because he has to look like a hard rogue trader and like taking like, look how powerful I am with my protection.
Right. And so they go to dinner at the Claws. Sorry. They go to dinner at the Claws along with
like
the
Dave
Merchant
Grohl of
Guild.
the Foo
G-Claw.
Fighters.
What's that?
Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters. The girls.
The girls.
They meet up with the Merchant Guild that they're trying to work a deal with.
And they fly out in the
quotes
middle
here.
of nowhere, right?
Yeah. The
So, like,
House Claw is,
yeah.
Houseclaw is like in the middle of this like huge expanse of tundra and forest and stuff on the side of a mountain. And it's like this giant like
Super expansive.
300 bedroom house like with everything that you could ever imagine.
So you could say it was excessive.
You could say it was. You could say that.
Full of pride.
Yeah. And they get the tour. They were invited to kind of a big dinner.
Show is like,
And this is the first time we meet or Gorgon Locke,
Yeah, Gorgon Locke.
as there is described as a rogue trader.
Yep.
he's rogue, all right.
And what's happening here while this dinner is happening is they are mapping out the inside of the
Right.
Claws
Midas
estate.
and Haldane are not
Like sneaking out the window.
supposed to be, in the bedroom hanging out.
Right.
Yeah, but they're sneaking out, kind of mapping around as best as they can the
like their
Claws.
speed suit.
That's right. And then after this fantastic dinner, everyone's full and they go home. They combine it with Vogue, with his maps of the place.
Right.
And that's when they find that there's
A whole secret wing
Yeah.
underground.
It doesn't match any of the blueprints that are on file with the Imperial Blueprint Society.
So being a smart man, Eisenhorn sneaks into these secret underground places alone.
Right. Because, right. Cause
Just a bunch of rich, fat merchants. How bad can this place be?
Right. They're probably not chaos cultists.
Yeah, probably not.
Oh, nope. Wait.
Wait, yeah. Oh, wait. So
Yeah, oh,
he
maybe they are.
overhears all of the so like Ober and Glaw and a couple of other Claws kind of talking about their evil schemes and
Along
what
with
they're going to do.
Dazo the Ecclesiarch, which is another member of
Yeah. There's Locke is there as well.
Yep.
And they're all kind of talking about their evil schemes, but
Right.
in very vague terms. So Eisenhorn doesn't quite know.
They're all smoking Obscura.
Yes. And so I see them smoking big cigars and like sniftering brandy and kind of swilling it around.
Yeah, the dude was smoking out of a water pipe. I'm pretty sure that's not a cigar.
So I like the scene where he's crawling out the window and down because there's a scene where he's sitting there and there's a couple guards just kind of like enjoying the Obscura below him, and he's like, I really need these people to move. I'm getting too old to be hunched on a windowsill. My knees are hurting.
So he uses his
he
will.
uses the will to make him get like
Paranoid.
And they're like, oh, cops are coming. We gotta go.
I wonder if he was
Before we
like,
get
we
busted."
better not hang out under this window in case an old Inquisitor falls on us with bad knees.
Because that would hurt so bad.
I just like him. He was like, I've got to use the will here. Move.
So we hear like our half-heard conversation about what's going on. We hear, was it about the great undertaking? And then he kind of sees a ray-shielded entrance. And he kind of hides behind the keypad there, and he sees a guy, kind of the unluckiest guy in the world, walk through the door.
Right.
And then he kind of chokes the bitch out.
Oh, yeah, and he used his key code that he found on Hubris to get into this secret place, too, which was Day Sumner.
Day Sumner. Wow,
Yeah.
Good pull. I was literally looking at the word. I'm kind of surprised you managed to pull that one back.
And then, so
read this book like
he goes into
50
this,
times.
he goes into this, like, almost like cathedral-like room, and it's like very, like, holy, like set up probably like an artifact room from a church or something,
Sure.
And he kind of walks towards it, and that's when he gets caught.
Right.
Like,
just gets laid out.
Turns around and sees like all of the claws kind of behind the ray shield, looking in and be like, "Oh, the fuck you doing
I got
here?"
lost. I was going a different way.
He tries to say that he got lost and accidentally walked through several miles of your building to get to this underground lair.
And using this heat resistant suit stealth suit that I have on with like suction gloves and
these are pajamas.
climbing
This
equipment.
is what I sleep in. And then he feels like he gets knocked out from the back.
Right.
And
Because there's a box on the altar.
Yeah, because there's the box in the altar and there's no one else behind him and he kind of gets knocked down. And this is when he wakes up and he is pinned down in what is one of the most terrifying scenes I've read in a 40K book.
Oh my God.
He is tied down. He has all of the claws around him, but most importantly, he has Gorgon Lock over him.
Yeah.
And Gorgon Lock very calmly explains how he is being trained in various forms of torture, and that he was going to use them. And, and it talks about how he manipulates nerves.
You'll tell me.
Fry them out, right?
Yeah.
And so he's talking about what he's going to do to Eisenhorn, and this is like one of my favorite lines because it always makes me grin. Like what he's going to do to him and make him paralyze his face or whatever, right? And so Eisenhorn tells him that his sister commended him, said his lovemaking skills were much better than
Lots.
and as somebody who is really into your mom jokes, that really just made me smile.
I really feel that originally Dan Abnett put in, your mother commended me about my lovemaking better than yours, but the editors were like,
too far.
It's too far. Can we do something else?
Can we do something more Game of Thrones?
But he severs a bunch of nerves in Eisenhorn. It's described as he's in so much pain that, he's like, I'm going to make it so you can never smile again. And he cuts a bunch of neural nerves.
Oh, see, I love that actually. He says the lovemaking skills thing, and then Locke just grips his face and the needle lands in his cheek, and he black out for a minute. And you just hear he's like, I haven't killed him, okay? And as Locke comes back, and he's like, look at him. Where's that cocksure smile now, you little bastard? By the way, you'll never smile again. And I was like,
he manipulates nerves so he can't lie. And this is when we find out that it was like, what are you most afraid of? He's like, we'll use it against you. And he's like, the eyeless man. And Eisenhorn says, I was surprised by that answer. And we're like, oh, shit. Because, rewind, he's been seeing in his dreams this eyeless, scary man.
Right. Yeah, so that's some foreshadowing, I guess. I
don't
know.
The questions I got there, when you take a lie detector test, they always ask you your question: what's your name, what's your age, what sex are you, stuff like that. The questions that he busted out with is like, what are your name, where were you born, who'd you have sex with first, and then your darkest fear. And I was like, why was the sex question in there? How are they going to verify whether he was telling the truth or not?
Because if it was embarrassing, you would still tell it.
It's a Slaneshi thing, maybe.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, because that's kind of their thing.
That's their thing. But anyway, so he gets done questioning him, throws him into a jail cell, and then
with the rest of his
retinue. The rest of his retinue is taken there too. Everyone's captured, and then he gets thrown.
Except Midas.
Yes, except Midas,
who slipped out the window.
Like a boss.
But
everyone else is there, and they get thrown into a fighting pit, gladiator style, against beasts and hounds of the world.
Along with the merchants that he introduced himself to start with.
Because he's like,
we had no idea you were an Inquisitor. What are you doing?
He's like, are you an Inquisitor? Yeah. And he's like, well, what the fuck, man?
We're going to get killed.
We had no idea.
So on this world, Carnodons were the dominant predator, and they're still revered. Like it's used like griffins on nobles' houses and stuff like that. They're still using like this.
Like what's the deadliest predator in that planet?
Man.
You're welcome.
So they get.
Oh man.
You should have timed that a lot better. That was like
no, whatever. I'll get the next one.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Good.
They're in a gladiatorial pit.
And again, another kind of fight scene where you really don't know who's going to survive and who's not, and everything is in danger.
So right before they get thrown into the fight scene, they're sitting there, and Haldane,
yeah,
right,
yeah,
is sitting there, and he's talking. He's like, "Are you okay, Eisenhorn? All right, good. Here," and then he slips some drugs out of his sleeve and says, "Here, take this."
This is why no one fucking likes Haldane.
No,
right?
there's lots of reasons.
Slipping drugs to fucking
Right?
people.
He slips a tiny red pill out and he's like, here, take this. Oh, I don't do drugs. Yeah, I don't give a damn if you do drugs or not. Okay? You're going to take
need you
this.
ready to
I
fight.
need you ready for what's going to happen next. What? And then he takes the drugs and then it's like, haven't you ever been in gladiatorial or ever seen gladiatorial
Oh yeah,
combat
because he got
before?
thrown into the thing. He
Right.
takes a pill and he's like, "Yeah, haven't you ever been in gladiator?" He's like, "Gladiator combat? What?"
Yeah. And then the door opens and
I
they
thought
all
he
get
didn't
ushered
take
out.
the pill, and he was thought to himself like, "Man, I really wish I would have taken that pill."
Oh no, he totally took the pill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So in our arena, we have two of the beasts, these giant kind of animals.
Carnodons.
They're chained.
Yeah.
They're the second deadliest animal on the planet, and after man, and these Carnodons are chained up, but they're chained up in a way where they can reach all of the arena apart from the seating areas because
Right.
the animals are starved, so that they fight because they only kill to eat apparently.
Okay.
So like they want them to eat the people and not the watcher and the viewer.
So we cue episode 3, right?
That's episode 2.
Is it episode 2? So we cue episode 2, where clearly George Lucas stole this from Dan Abnett.
Right.
Yeah.
Clearly.
As is tradition.
Right.
And then it takes all of them pretty much to kill one of them. So all of like the inquisitorial retinue, the poor grade merchant.
Oh man, they die like immediately.
dies
I
immediately.
want to imagine, in my head, they didn't actually kill it so much as it choked on the bones of the merchants that just ate so fast.
That's fair. That's probably exactly what happened there.
Just the dead.
And then it took so much out of them killing this other one. They're like, wow, what the fuck? Why don't we just cut the chain?
Yeah, so
Yeah, he figures out to cut the
Eisenhorn
chain.
like twists his dagger or whatever, breaks the chain.
Scythe. He busts it
Oh
with a
yeah,
scythe,
a little hand scythe, and then it gets loose. He rides it right up to the top. He
Wait,
rides it into
When
the
did
stands.
episode 1? When did episode 2 come out?
Dude, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
He rides it up into the stands, and it just starts murdering people. Except for then, like,
So
the
all
House Claw soldiery comes in. Oh, the one Claw guy takes out like an antique hunting
Uriel
rifle
Claw.
and nails that thing after it's killed a bunch of people.
Yeah. 2002, episode 2 came out, so they stole it from.
They totally stole that
it from
man.
us.
Dan, I feel for you, dude.
You got to
should
get
be
some of that
good.
Star
some of
Wars
that
money.
Some of that sweet prequel money.
Oh man, it's owned by Disney. It's owned by Disney now, homie. You're in the money. You're gonna see the next time you see a picture of Dan Abnett, he's gonna be wearing Mickey Mouse ears and dancing around.
Now-
What do you mean, dude? Guardians is owned by Disney.
Now he gets like after Glaw kills the rampaging beast and saves his people and his attendee, they hear like this random siren that was going off in the background, but before there was too much noise to hear it.
Right.
And Glaw's like, "What the hell is that?" And it turns out this is the reinforcements coming to free Eisenhorn.
Yeah, because Midas has signaled Voke, and Voke is sending like all these naval security, like elite like, stormtroopers.
It's almost like there's 500,000 troops on that planet that they can draw from.
And then they also surrounded it by like 10,000 dudes or what, like 10,000 guardsmen, like around the whole like complex. I don't know. It's a lot.
There was a lot, yeah.
So what I liked about this scene was that you got Midas climbs up the backside and like sits up in a sniper position, just picking off people with a needle rifle.
Yeah, he's got all these needle
Oh man,
weapons.
it would be really awesome if he picked off any of the Glaws, though.
Yeah,
Well, he did actually.
Dude, he's just a henchman. Like you can't expect that much.
He
of him.
follows the character targeting rules too well. And he has
They
a
were
sniper
never
rifle.
the closest target.
Once he got down all the regular guys, he did actually shoot Uriel Glaw.
Oh yeah, no, he does.
Oh yeah,
that's
that's
right.
right. Yeah. One of them. There was like 4 Glaws there.
Two actual Glaws. There was the off-world cousin that was like
the
an
bastard
inbred
Glaws.
idiot. Yeah,
The Glaw.
Toby Glaw.
Toby Glaw. It's like
Toby, the bastard cousin.
Yeah, so they wing him, and he runs, down the passageway to try to get away. And Eisenhorn, who is still messed up, gives chase, trying to catch him. Runs by him, gets attacked by him, kills him.
Word.
As
That's
is.
pretty much how it goes.
And then he passes out because he's been
Right.
literally tortured for days.
Yeah.
Right.
And then had
What
to.
a badass.
They talk about he keeps waking up and coming in and out of consciousness in the hospital or the kind of the medevac area. And they say like he has like miles of fake nerves put in.
Yes,
He
so
says
much work done.
like a ton of work to repair himself.
But let's talk about what happened with the Glaws before we talk about how hard Eisenhorn got his ass whooped, right? Like, so the Glaws all escape, right, with Dazzo and some of the other folks in a flyer, along with Gorgon Locke.
And one more person. The
Dazzo?
No, it's not Dazzo. It's M.
Malahite?
Yeah.
Malachi?
Right?
Is that his
Malahite.
name? Malahite. Yeah, okay. And so we don't find out his name until later, yeah.
Some dude.
Okay.
So they get away, supposedly get away in a speeder that supposedly gets shot down. Spoilers, it does not get shot down. They escape. along with a box.
Along with the box.
The Pontus.
Yes. He gets away with the box that was in that little room where he got knocked out. And then it's described a very long road of recovery to kind of get Eisenhorn better. And it's
miles of nerves.
Find out miles of nerves go in there. Like I was like, Locke was accurate. He can no longer smile because of all of the nerve damage, which is the most grimdark injury I've ever heard of. Be like, what are your war wounds? Oh, I can't smile.
Ooh. That's harsh.
Harsh.
Savage.
But it does make for some amazing deadpan jokes, which come in later.
Oh, yeah. He's a really good straight man.
Oh, dude, yeah. He'd be the best
straight man. Yeah. What was super cool about this part is now we're kind of getting into when we're chasing after the Glaws and kind of figuring stuff out. It's at this point I realized 40K is just pirate stories.
Pirate stories?
Like literally it's just pirate stories because all talk of space travel is just naval travel.
Kind of.
That's true.
They use terms like a gravity anchor. They follow in their wake, and it's
their warp wake.
Their warp wake and everything is like, and that's how they were able to kind of find out which way the Glaws were going is like, because of this big battle starts happening. How can I forget the insurrection on Hubris?
It's everywhere. It's the entire system.
Right.
So you've got the new guardsmen that have just been deployed up to the naval, getting ready for the Great Crusade, when suddenly some of the ships turn and fire on some and then break and run.
Right. And then also a fleet goes after them as well.
Yeah, the fleet chases after them as well.
And they have some of the trader fleet too. They have their own fleet.
Right. Well, but they don't know it's a trader fleet.
Oh, no.
They're trying to figure out what the fuck is happening.
Yeah, the Glaws are like, let's go, buddy. And then they just go because they're still loyal to the Imperium.
So the stuff is going on for a while. The hives break and run. All sorts of stuff goes on. I like this right here. It says, I believed with all the conviction that it would be better for the planets themselves to burn than for that true matter to be accomplished. True matter being whatever that they were trying to do.
The great
on the
undertaking.
Planet. Right.
Yeah.
Whatever they're trying to do on the planet. And he says, which is why I went to Damask. So he's like, which is why I said, I don't care about the heresy and left.
And that's the world that Dazzo went to, or that was talking about. Where, like, during their dinner, he gave like this long spiel about all the missionary work that he was doing, and like this kind of like pilgrim or like this like backwater world. Right. And so they kind of get the idea once they see where they're like where the warp wake is going, that's the place that they should investigate next.
So he gets back on the Essen.
Yep. To Damask.
To Damask. There we go. I thought Damos for some reason. But
what a cool world, though, right? Like, I loved the description, the floating forests.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole description of the planet sounded really cool.
Oh, my God. That's Abnett, though, man. Like, he does a good job with that stuff.
World building. That's what he does.
And characters. Just good characters.
But we get to this planet, this beautiful planet, and this is where they're doing the excavation, right?
And they find no signs of civilization except for some, like, burned down, like structures and stuff like that.
And they're supposed to be, like, 16,000 people on this planet
at least,
something.
yeah.
So it's really confusing.
So they set up a perimeter. They're camping.
Yeah, it's a beautiful floating forest world. You got to camp.
They're camping.
And this is where Abnett takes the book off the rails for about 2.5 chapters, where they just
Eisenhorn, the camping.
Back when produced fine s'mores.
Oh man, no, they were so good they were heretical. Oh yeah,
that's it, folks. The episode's
over.
That's
it. That's good.
We're done.
Can't top that one, boys.
So they find a guy that is
right.
Guy finds 3 guys find their camp, And Beckwin subdues one of them by herself. The other two run away, and they just look like Amazonian tribesmen to her. They have this own weird language that.
Oh yeah,
it's
like Old English,
really Old English.
Verily,
yeah,
but it's extra older than that.
Thy verily,
forsooth.
There you go. And she can't communicate with him because she's just like,
she's a whore,
right? Well, whores speak it's the universal language. They should be able to communicate, right?
So luckily they have Amos with them,
right? They have Amos who goes, I can translate.
Oh, Amos who like has to learn everything. Thank God for him.
I was like, hold on, do. Yeah, I can translate. The guy says, "Verily, forsooth, I PBR'd my lord chair,
You're just saying,
kitchen table."
Are you just looking at things and saying words?
And Amos goes, and Amos says, "His name is Varric, and he is from this village.
You want some PBR,
and he'd love some of your PBR and your s'mores." So, they have this conversation, and they decide he can lead them back to the camp because he escaped from the camp. And he tells them about how the missionaries came down and started teaching them about God. And then like, hey, God, Emperor wants you to dig in these tunnels over here. So start digging.
Never mind the volcanic
fumes.
Good
old colonial people.
Right? And so they start digging. And when they're not digging fast enough, they just Locke rounds up everybody like, get in the tunnels and dig it. So
man, he's a super nice guy.
So they have I can't remember the actual guy's name. He dies really fast, so I'm not going to remember it. Fezzik.
Tim.
We're going to call him Fezzik. He leads them back in through these tunnels and this water, and they're in there. And Eisenhorn knows he's safe because he's with Beckwin and Amos. No,
it's fishing. Fishing is with him.
Fishing
with a heavy stubber.
With the heavy stubber. And,
he's very happy about that heavy stubber.
Yeah, he loves the heavy stubber.
He's like Carl Weather. No, he's like Jesse Ventura in Predator with that heavy stubber.
It makes him into a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus.
Sexual Caradon.
Sexual Caradon. So they sneak into the caves and they're sitting there watching and what are they? They're seeing people dig and dig and dig, and all of a sudden somebody sees something and they call for Locke and Damas and the other guy Matthias.
Jeb.
No, the actual archaeologist. But and so they're sitting there, and he's like, Locke looks at a guardsman and says, "You take this," and he hands him like this drill saw, like the Gene Steeler saw,
right,
and it's like, dig this out.
I did notice that they started using Gene Steeler cult tools.
Right, I did too. I was like, is it going to be a Gene Steeler cult? So they're digging out these panels and putting them in a box carefully. And all of a sudden, the guardsman breaks one, and Locke loses his shit.
Yeah, he does.
He goes nuts in one of the best scenes in the book, in my opinion.
Is that your favorite scene?
When the one guy abuses his power and beats a slave?
No, it's a full-on guardsman. One of the actual guardsmen.
He doesn't just beat him. He starts him into pieces.
Beating the ever-loving shit out of him, picks up the saw, and it was like, meanwhile, the archaeotechologist is sitting there like, oh, it's fine, I can fix it, I can repair it. And Locke just shoots him a glance and then goes absolutely nuts on this guy and holds him up by his throat, throws him against the wall, and when the guy's like, I'm sorry, Locke revs up the saw and chops his head off, covering everybody around him with gore. The slaves are recoiling. The guardsmen are like, oh my God, what's happening? And then he hands the saw to the next guardman and says, be more careful.
Brutal.
I was like, "Whoa, that is some grim, dark brutalness right there."
Yeah, it's a good bad guy.
That is.
He's crazy.
See the chaos. This Chaos Space Marine and not Uriel. Oberyn and Glaw step out of a tent and they're fighting.
They're arguing.
He's arguing with an emperor's children.
Mandragor.
Yeah, a bastard child of the emperor is how they're referred to throughout this book, and I love that term for them.
Yeah.
Child of the emperor.
And they're sitting there watching, and Eisenhorn is like drawn to the beauty of the armor and the gold.
Yeah, don't look into it too much.
He's like, I'm not gay, but I could be, and then he finally breaks contact and
like shakes it off. He's like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't have stared at that for so long. That's kind of fucking me up.
Really weird. I got the weirdest.
Let's stare at it some more.
I got the weirdest direction.
But yeah, Glaw is yelling at the Space Marine, Chaos Space Marine, and there's a point the Chaos Space Marine is like, oh, fuck you, I don't need you. And he goes to like raise his hand to just backhand his head off his shoulders. And this is when, Dazzle comes out?
Dazzle's
and he's just like, psychic powers is like, knock it the fuck off, you need us. And psychic powers him into submission.
And he realizes, and that's when Eisenhorn realizes, oh shit, Dazo's like an alpha level psyker, like a total fucking badass.
Right, like Eisenhorn's like, I know Smite, but that guy knows like 15.
Super smart.
That guy
rolled an 11.
He gets +1 to cast Smite.
I did like the way he diffuses that he talks him into submission. He's like, oh, well, we're so honored to have you here, and also this and this and this. Oh, and by the way, you're never going to try to touch us again.
So after they stare at the armor, this this happens like right after, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Beckwin takes off, like leaves, because she also stared at the Emperor Children's armor, and like loses her shit.
Yeah.
So she gets like affected, like, I don't know, not psychically, but like it just
emotionally.
Yeah, it just emotionally destroys her. So she runs and hides in some building. That's when all of a sudden everybody knows that Eisenhorn and Fischig are there, and goes, oh shit, Eisenhorn is right over there. Kill that motherfucker, because Dazo can sense them.
Oh, I also like to think that they're just like standing like 10 feet away, behind like a really thin sign.
It's like in a video game when you're in a bush, right? Like,
they were just in a couple of boxes sliding around on the floor.
Yeah, right.
Or like holding a sign, being like, not Eisenhorn,
holding a tree in front of themselves. Oh yeah, good times.
Yeah, well, as soon and you know, nobody realizes he's there until he realizes that Beckwin's gone, and he's like, "Oh no, Beckwin's gone. They're going to be able to see me."
because Beckwin's a blank hiding his psychic signals.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Beckwin runs away, and Dazo's like, "Oh shit, it's Eisenhorn's here over there. Kill him."
So firefight ensues.
They release. They have pet attack hyenas that they release against them.
Mm-hmm.
And like chase them down, so they have to kill those. Running firefight, Fischig guns down a bunch of dudes with his heavy stubber.
They find Glaw's trunk and personal possessions, and there's a lot of luggage.
So they're cutting through buildings to these new hab buildings to get away, because they've hooked back up with Beckwin. So now they're invisible again.
Yeah, they find her curled up in the corner of a building.
Yeah. And so they're running through buildings, and they realize they run into like the newest hab building, and Eisenhorn realizes that it's Oberon's quarters.
Right.
So he starts going through his luggage, and I like the other guy's like,
TSA,
"What are you
motherfucker.
doing? What are you? We don't have time for this. What are you looking for?
Isn't Bettencourt like, we're gonna fucking die? We need to leave now. Just a minute.
Bettencourt's back at the.
Oh yeah, it's a Fischig, right?
Yeah, Fischig's like losing his shit,
and he's like, "Come on, man, we gotta go. Get the van. We gotta go." And meanwhile, they've queued up their Vox comms, and he's like, Phoenix Rising PBR chair sample 22, and he's like, no problem, acknowledged, coming.
Which ironically in code means problem.
Yeah, problem.
Get the gun cutter airborne and get over here and be here in this time in this area.
And now this is another really great part in the book is they start walking out to the platform where the gun cutter is going to meet them, and they pass more suitcases and trunks. And Fischig is like, don't you fucking think about it. And Eisenhorn's like, okay. And then they run out to the landing pad, and like they see the gun cutter coming from the distance, and then right in front of them they see the Space Marine just start to really quickly walk towards them, and Eisenhorn's like, fuck, run away now. And they all run away from this chaos, which is like, I think it's great because like, again, it's not something we see necessarily on the table of being terrified of these things, but they are literally running for their lives on it.
Right.
It's described as they run into this room, and the Chaos Space Marine just walks through the wall to get to them.
Right.
Yeah. And just like Kool-Aid Man's it into there.
Exactly.
And he's like, all right, stop. You're not going to touch me because I've got this. And some of the stuff that he was digging for, he pulls up the box. And so he's like, I've got this, and I know you want it, so we're going to work a deal. And then Dazo makes the Chaos Space Marine back off.
Right.
Because he doesn't want to destroy it. And then we're in a...
He's got like a thermal detonator next to it or whatever.
We got like a Mexican standoff right here because Eisenhorn's like, you let me leave and I'll blow this up.
It's like, I would rather it blow up than let you leave with it.
Yeah.
So the gun cutter comes in and lands, and they start making their way towards the gun cutter. And he says, listen, if anything happens to me, blow up the box. And so the guns spin around and like just start tracking the box. And they're like, "What? We can't work a deal with you. There's no way you're an Inquisitor. You won't give us the box later." They're like, he's like, "Well, you know what? It's true. It's a deal. I guess we're at an impasse. There's nothing we can do." And then they run.
So Oberon says, "I'll give you I'll give you like 10 minutes if you just
10
drop,
seconds to go."
Sure, yeah. If you drop the box, and Eisenhorn's like, "All right, okay." Drops the box. runs in. Runs into the gun cutter. They take off, and there's flight scrambling from the Renegade fleet, which is now in orbit. And so there's a dramatic escape sequence.
The S scene has also keyed up. Hey guys, big old flight of people coming in, so I'm gonna go ahead and bounce out a little bit. I'll be on the outer rings. You can get a hold of me later. Holla.
And then this described in the thing is they know that like the pilot is going very high, very fast based on the angle of ascent. Because he's trying to piece the fuck out of there. And then we get our only real space battle in the book here.
You know what? I think Lucas actually did this one better. I will say, in Empire.
Oh man!
Eisenhorn did the old Han Solo. And he flies straight for this moon, and that's no moon. That's a hiding space,
right? Well, it's so that you get this run and gun battle with the standard Imperial Guard space fighter ships.
They were lightnings.
I think,
yeah.
So they get this battle going, and he's doing all sorts of crazy stuff where he's flying low to the ground where they can't, to this moon that they can't do, and he's doing the go through gullies and stuff, and then he
janked,
and then he brakes. He air brakes so they go by him, and he kills a bunch of them, and then he looks at the servitor, or he looks at the actual servitor on the gun cutter, and he says, "Are we ready?" And he says, "Yeah." So they start trailing fuel and making it look like they're damaged. And he goes, "All right, now." And they hit the eject button that opens the cargo hold and dumps out all of the luggage and everything else, and a bunch of grenades. And he's like, "Oh, and some grenades, all the grenades you had in the weapons bay." So blows it up, causes a big old explosion, and they dip down into the space worm's mouth and hide for 66 hours.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah.
And he goes, they land, and he goes,
without talking,
nobody make any sound,
and it's dark.
They turn off all systems apart from very minor life support,
just enough to keep them alive.
They have to get into heat gowns,
so nothing is picked up.
Right.
Yeah. I like that they sit there, and there's a couple times where they're like, "Huh?" and no.
Right.
Just doing like ASL in the boat in the dark,
But yeah, so he has the thing,
right?
The
and
MacGuffin.
Like, how do you have that? I thought you dropped it. He's like, sleight of hand. Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm also a street magician.
Yeah.
Right.
Gregor Blaine.
I was going to say I'll Blaine.
He's standing on the entertain him for 66 hours. He just showed him how he could levitate
without using his actual psychic powers.
Right. So they get back on the S scene, and they decide to follow the ships because they know where they're going. They start talking about the Zarthurians, right? Zarthurians?
The what?
The aliens. The aliens they're meeting up with.
The titular Xenos.
Yeah.
They were the Sarathi, right?
Sarathi? Anyway, they're weird aliens.
The aliens.
They're a weird alien race. The
Cthulhu aliens.
Yeah. They track where they're going. They figure out where they're going. Yeah, they decide. They figure out that the Pontus is actually got power spots. So they power it up. They set it down and they power it up, and the room gets really cold. And a voice starts speaking to him, and it's Pontius.
Pontius Claw.
Pontius Claw. He was saved as a computer. I like the idea. Every time you boot him up, like ice just fills the whole room, and he's super cold.
Yeah,
because psychic.
Yeah.
Super powerful psychic.
So
that might be the first instance in 40K where they talk about like when a psyker manifests psychic powers, it frosts the room over.
Yeah.
Which is a common theme you see a lot in.
I really like how so he tries his standard inquisitorial interrogation techniques on Pontius Claw.
Yep.
Threatens to unplug him.
Yeah.
Threatens to do all this other kind of stuff, and he doesn't really talk. And then he does the smartest goddamn thing. He goes he talks to him every day about something.
Just as buddies.
Whatever. And he's like, oh, he's super smart. He knows about this because he figures he's been dead for a couple hundred years. He's not been plugged in all that often. He craves human contact and attention. So he has all these great conversations, and he makes very good note of how he never mentions Imperial losses, only Imperium victories, and how that makes the Imperium seem stronger than ever than when he died. Yep. And then after that, he goes into the room and he's like, hey, who moved that casket? Someone been in here? I'm like, oh no, there's a fucking traitor on here. Oh
Yeah.
So these conversations continue until like he notices again that the casket's being moved and that someone's been talking to him, and he questions all his crew. All his crew are like, no. And then it cuts to this scene of someone talking to the casket. It's kind of ruined a little in the audiobook, but someone talking to the casket and asking the questions, and it's like, oh man, this is the traitor. We're gonna find out who the traitor is, and it's Beckwin.
Yep.
And Beckwin is, and then we find out what it is they played the long con on him, where Eisenhorn was doing the standard interrogation.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, and Glaw's like, oh yeah, he'll never turn me. I'll just enjoy my conversations with him, and he's not going to get anything out of me. And the whole time, Beckwin's pretending like she wants to turn, and she's going to help him.
Right.
And that's how it's all secret, and it's played beautifully. Like I said, the audio book ruins it a little bit because there's no descriptors in the book about who was talking until the very end. But the audiobook uses her voice.
Right.
Sure.
So, but it's still wonderfully done. We get this information that
She's the only woman on board.
yeah, fair. They're looking for the kind of the great goal that they're looking for here is an ancient tome known as the Necrotic. Or the Necrotalk. I think it's the Necrotalk.
Yeah, I think it's the Necrotalk. I don't know how they
were
say it in
you know,
the book.
They were supposedly all destroyed.
Right.
Apart from this one.
Apart from this one.
Bum.
And this is when we go chasing after the Glaws in hyperspace.
Right.
Well, we've already been
mission
chasing
there.
after the gloss this whole time.
Because we were 40
Catching up with the gloss, if you will.
40 weeks in the warp, I believe, right? Because I think it was like 6 to 9 months they were in the warp.
So I
chasing
remember
after
it took 6 months to get back from the Sarathi space to the Imperium. But like, I don't know. Let's not debate the
It's
amount
a
of time.
long
It's a
ass
long
time.
Yeah.
Many weeks.
Batman symbol. No.
We talk about how in
Right.
this time that Beckwin has learned, like, she's pretty fucking kick ass with a gun and can fight now because she's been trained for like 6 months so solidly on how to fight. She's learned how to play Regicide, like very well as well. So it's kind of showing her intelligence in that. And we arrive in this weird area outside Imperial space. And the way they describe how uncomfortable it is amazing. They just say nothing is symmetrical.
Yep.
So yeah, kind of like that Lovecraftian way that he describes things like relay and things like that from like Call of Cthulhu, where like it's non-Euclidean. So like you can get caught on the corner of something like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like nothing is quite adds up because like all these different like stone tablets are all like hexagons and things like that, but they are all different sizes on each thing, but yet they all fit together perfectly somehow.
And they said that like the planet looked like it was more than 360 degrees.
On the tablet they talk about as they're examining it, the star shape that you're seeing, it somehow the angles add up to way more than 360 degrees, which should be physically impossible, you know.
So they warp into this space, right?
Right.
Like, and it's like a dying world. There's a bunch of like destroyed spaceships in there. Like they're like, oh my god, it's like they lost, like the enemy fleet lost ships here because of like the gravitational forces are decaying.
And meteor
the world
storms
is
and-
right.
Yeah.
So they fly towards the only planet that has like a giant hole in it, and they fly into this hole. Like, and Maxilia is like, guys, come on, my craft isn't designed to do this thing. It's not rated for landing on a planet. And he's like, no, dude, that's where they flew. Like, unless they were instantly obliterated when they got within this part, this is exactly the route that they took. So they fly into this planet, and everything's calm.
Yep. And they bring the ship down towards the planet, which should be impossible.
Yep, but it's not somehow.
So the one brief thing that you find out from Max, the captain, is that Eisenhorn sits down with him and says, "Hey, so you've been pretty honest with me, but I feel like there's something you're not telling me about these Arthurians." So he says, so here's the deal, and he goes into it about how he was on a rogue trader ship, and that guy wanted to trade with them, so they spent X amount of time, and he just lived in the hold and wasn't really part of anything. And everybody that came back, they go there, and he felt that the tradesmen felt like they were being tricked and messed with because of the nature of the planet itself and how it was. Everything just seemed wrong. You're sitting there and you're looking at a square, but it's not quite a square. Your mind is trying to tell you it's a square, but it's definitely not
the
a square.
Lovecraftian thing there, yeah.
So And he goes, all right, well, don't ever lie to me again. And then proceed on till we get to the planet, following the vapor trail or the warp dust trails of the other ships.
That's cocaine.
and go down to the planet where they take the gun cutter down towards to the planet the rest of the way because they couldn't land. The big ship.
Right. They could just float in these giant hexagons.
Yeah.
That like form a tunnel that goes deeper into the planet somehow.
Yeah.
So we get there.
So we get down on the planet, and the first thing you notice is the water is it's not flowing to the shore. It's
The
actually
waves are
flowing
going
away from the
backwards.
shore. Yeah, and breaking upon itself. And
And then they
all sorts
dig
of
in the
weird stuff.
sand, and like right below the sand is like all of the like the hexagon blocks again. Like so, it's like totally been engineered. This whole area.
to be strange.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So then we get to
and we trudge.
we trudge along, and then we see the exchange taking place.
They get some Vox. They get some Vox chatter where Eisenhorn hears himself having a conversation with Midas about Elizabeth, and he's really confused. And then they get some more Vox chatter from guardsmen under fire.
So they go towards the guardsmen. They help out these guardsmen who are getting like these Gundurite from Gudrun. Rifles are like fleeing from their
Land
final
speeders.
destination, right?
Yeah.
There's these naval security guys and land speeders like gunning them down. So the Inquisitorial troop teams up, kills all the land speeders, and rallies the guardsmen. And they go and infiltrate the actual handoff that's taking place.
Dressed as the riflemen.
Right, and the naval security. Eisenhorn and Fischig are naval security dressed up. Because so they can get extra close.
Hold up that little bush in front of their face so they don't get seen again.
Exactly. Well, I think they have
see
face visors or whatever.
Yeah, they're really thick.
Anyway, so they see the aliens. The aliens are suitably creepy. Can we talk about them for a minute?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Really,
Go.
I couldn't actually imagine them in my head listening to it. And
So to me, it's a starfish with human hands, right? That's holding onto these stilts because they have an odd number of limbs because they're non-symmetrical. And then there's like a thing that rises up out of their back. That's their head, like on a pseudopod kind of a thing. And but doesn't rise from the center of the creature. It rises like off to one side weirdly. And then they were able to move their hands, two of their arms over their face, or like their quote unquote face, but like make a human face out of it and then speak with
a mouth.
Out
with
of
their
their
fingers
hands.
and eyes.
Sort of
yeah.
like the Guillermo del Toro Hellboy.
Yeah,
statue.
yeah, exactly
Yeah,
like
Man,
that.
I was thinking Labyrinth.
Mm-hmm.
which
Oh
was
yeah,
following.
sure.
Yeah, with the hand monsters. See, now in my head, I pictured like a odd numbered limbed giraffe kind of thing.
Okay.
It's a little too symmetrical, though.
Well, yeah, but that's just what I was trying to picture. And then the hands, there was something that ended up with them with spikes, and
So
the hands were like knees at one, and the spikes in my head, the way I saw it, the spike,
they hold onto these stilts, right, which are spiked.
right, but they always made it seem like the spiked stilts were still actually part of them. The hands held on to like a.
No,
I don't know, it's kind of
they were creepy, weird.
they were
looking
weirdos
things.
either way.
And then they also had a slave cast or something like that came out that had hooves.
Oh, I got a mad theory
Sounds
for
like
that
they
at the end of the
cut
book,
off their
though. By the way,
hands.
all right. So
But yeah. So the exchange happens, and you see the oh my god, now it's just Dazo. Holy shit, Dazo gets handed this tomb, which is the Necrotech, and then
You mean the tome?
Oh, the tome. I'm sorry, that's what I said. Tomb. He gets, and he kind of freezes in place, and it's the time that they choose to kind of go all out and go get it.
Right.
They pretend that the aliens are attacking.
Right. So the Inquisitor's retinue starts like a riot, basically.
Yeah.
And so people are shooting at the aliens. People are shooting at each other. Like shit is going crazy. Mandragora is freaking out. And in the meantime, Eisenhorn is able to like grab the book.
Oh,
as soon as
he's so good, yeah.
As soon as he grabs it, like he has like all of these thoughts. Like he's like, oh man, I don't have to destroy it. Like I can just take it.
Now, maybe we should just read the whole thing.
Awesome. It's like literally the One Ring.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like he's going to keep it for him because it can do good in his hands, not in their hands.
Right. Exactly.
It's his precious. And then it's like he takes all of his inquisitorial training to kind of turn away from the book.
Right.
Which saves his ass, because if he hadn't, he would have been punched through the skull by the Emperor's children.
Right. Yeah. And so he starts fighting Mandragora, right? And he's getting his ass kicked. And so what he does is
I think it's described once as he literally gets punched 20 feet through the air.
So he's sitting there and he gets chode. He gets
He gets punched so hard in the dick it gets flat.
he gets hit across the back with a chain axe.
Oh yeah,
barely missing him. And he's like scrambling backwards, just like running away. And he's got a sword. He pulls out his power sword, which is kind of like a psychic force sword more than a power sword.
You mean a lightsaber?
Yeah, pretty much.
Get your Star Wars money out now.
Dan.
Let's see.
Clearly invented the lightsaber well before the original Star Wars movies were made too.
Yeah, the first three.
Let's see. He rushes. So Mandragora rushes him, and he deflects the force of the chain axe, but immediately he hit him with the butt of the weapon in the chest, sending him flying. And I actually left the ground for several meters as he flies.
Good times.
He lands, and the guy's like, "All right, now you're gonna die." And he goes, "But what about the neurotech over there?
Remember your book?" And he's like, "Oh yeah,
you came for the book." And he's like, "Oh yeah, right." And
because
so he picks it up.
When Eisenhorn grabbed it for the first time, like it stuns him. Like he's like, "Oh my god!" So he figures he kind of makes this ploy, right? He waits for him.
Like the Orgasmo Ray from Orgasmo.
From Orgasmo,
right? Orgasmo Raider.
Yeah. So Mandragora picks up the book. Eisenhorn cuts off his head.
Yeah.
He gets stunned.
Mandragora gets stunned by like picking up the book and kind of feeling the force of all this chaos. And then Eisenhorn takes his lightsaber and cuts off his head. And it's just straight dies.
Yep.
And its head bursts into flames.
Right. Like his whole like suit of power armor becomes like a furnace, and like it shoots up flames out of the neck hole. And so Eisenhorn's like, "Man, what do I do with this book?" So he scoops it up with something on the ground, like he doesn't touch it.
And he's thinking about taking it with him, actually, for a second.
Right. And then he's like, nah, fuck that. And
throws it in the fire.
Dumps it into the fire. It burns like even brighter, and like everything starts to unravel and go to shit. So the place starts to like die, basically.
Yeah.
So you've got the aliens they've attacked, who have now apparently can join. They're also, besides making human faces and talking with their fake finger mouths, can also shoot laser beams out of their hands.
Dude.
Because they're the fourth deadliest creature. After man. Yeah. Thanks.
So it's
man takes the top three spots.
Man carnosaurs. Chaos Space Marines, then aliens.
You forgot Eisenhorn.
Yeah. Eisenhorn, the most dangerous. Wait, no, I don't.
He's got a water sound.
So there's a lot of good lines right here, right? And there's one where he's the guy that basically stole the troopers and formed this mutiny and left because he was part of the Thralls. Commander, I just had it. Where was he? Anyway,
Jakarta.
Estrom, Captain Estrom. Thank you.
Okay.
Captain Estrom.
So Jakarta.
He looks at Eisenhorn, who's dressed as the trooper, and he says, "Hey, what do you think you're doing, trooper?" And Eisenhorn shoots him through the face and says, "Performing the ministry of the Sacred Inquisition," and then runs by him to get to the book.
They all pieced the fuck out of that planet.
Yep.
And kind of everyone goes their separate ways because shit went down. The Claws went away. The Eisenhorn and friends went away. And then this is when we get Eisenhorn kind of gets quote unquote rescued by the reinforcements that are like a couple of days behind.
Right. And the you find Malahite, the Archotech.
Oh yeah, they capture him.
Well, he begs them to take him with him.
Okay.
He's like, "Please don't leave me." He's shot with the lasers, so he's injured, so he's not going anywhere, and everybody else nopes the fuck out. And they get picked up by the ship, and he takes them up. And he takes all these guardsmen that he's got with him that he rescued, and they go back to their ship and they head back out.
And this is now we're at a place where we're on a ship with a prisoner, and we have 5 separate inquisitors.
Oh yeah,
from 5 different views of how the Inquisition should be run,
and the Death Watch,
and Death Watch,
and the first time they're ever mentioned, I'm pretty sure.
We have Inquisitor Lord Rorken, who's kind of like the boss man Inquisitor that Eisenhorn goes to see.
Because Eisenhorn's boss.
Yeah, he's Eisenhorn's boss. So, like, if you're an Inquisitor's boss, then you are very powerful. And he has to kind of explain his actions a little bit.
Note he also has a boss.
Right.
The Emperor.
So you have the boss. You have 3 other Inquisitors: Voke,
Endor and Molitor.
and Molitor, and then you also have the head of the Ecclesiarchy, and
Steve Dave.
And an admiral.
Yeah. And an admiral.
and the admiral, and then the Death Watch brother captain.
Yeah, Scion Wolf.
Yeah. Which is just a cool name.
Yeah. See, I didn't like it.
So Eisenhorn explains himself. He gets in a little bit of trouble, but not too much because
Endor's his bro.
Endor's his
Endor
bro.
and Voke are
Endor,
like,
Voke,
dude, good job.
and-
Yeah. Oh, and Molitor and Rourke are like,
Yeah. They're like, why we needed that book. It was good. We could have studied it.
Yeah.
And because that never
They're-
turns bad for anybody.
they're
you know?
pissed off they didn't save the book.
Yeah.
Right.
Got to
You
save
mean
the
you
book.
destroyed the book? I like that he's like, wait, is this an inquisition on me? I thought I was just giving you my testimony here. And they're like, well, he should be punished because he destroyed the book. And they're going through it, and they're chiming off like, okay, well, I think he's bad for this, and I think he's bad for this. Voke and Endor say, no, he did the right thing. And they turn to the last option, the brother captain, and go, so what do you think, Honored Astartes? And he goes, it's not really my place to judge this, but just so you know, I totally would have burned the book.
That's pretty much exactly what he says.
It's like,
So we have some time aboard the ship as we're trying to kind of figure out what to do next. And then Eisenhorn heads down to interrogate Malahite and kind of
after a
see
brief bit of recovering because he's been
because
injured
he's
again.
Gets his ass whooped again.
punched
Yeah.
30 feet into the air by
Right. Well, that's fair.
Xenos
All right,
soldiers.
I'll give him a little bit
chain
of
axe
slit
to
there.
the back,
What a
punched
baby.
in the belly.
So he recovers enough to go and interrogate Malahite, and he goes down there, and Molitor is already there interrogating him. And
Can you call it interrogation if you don't have any skin left?
Yeah, Malahite's pretty much dead at this point.
He's flensed.
He's sitting there crying in the corner, almost dead. Yeah.
And Eisenhorn's like, "What the fuck?"
Dude, that was mine.
That's my prisoner.
I was saving that.
It's like your roommate ate your last piece of pizza.
Right, exactly.
And yeah, he's pretty much near death. He's not going to survive. They try doing some stuff.
He doesn't even survive the scene. They get surgeons in there, and the surgeons are like, "He's dead.
no,
Sorry,
yeah.
dude.
He's dead, Jim.
We couldn't save him."
And then don't they go into his brain at this point now?
Yeah, so him
Yeah.
and Voke, like along with the entire astropathic choir, like go like perform this
put
super
it- yeah.
seance or whatever.
So they put him in stasis, so he can't full on die the rest of the way.
Right.
It's like, well, he's dead, but his soul's still in his body, so you got
Exactly. So they go into his mind. He basically stalls them long enough to show him the demon that's going to be eating his soul, and that like almost eats their souls too at the same time.
So they go in there because they can't figure out where the fleet has gone. The rest of the other fleet, the
Oh,
rogue
right,
fleet, has
yeah.
run away. And they're like, where did it go? We've checked all the possible points. We can't figure it out. Oh, they're going further into Zaturian space. And, well, why would they go there? It doesn't make any sense. And so they perform this seance, if you will, and meet him there. And he's talking about how, he's slowing it down. And finally he gets to a point where he's just like, why do you think they would go to the home world? I don't know. We destroyed the book. Well, I guess you're a big dumb inquisitor then who can't figure it out. Come on. And he's like, what?
He is taunting him the whole time.
Wait. They have their own version of the book? A non-human version? Bing, ding, 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 ding.
Took you long enough, bitch.
Took you long enough. I guess I'm going to die now. By the way, so are you.
Yeah, here's the demon coming to devour my soul.
There it
oh,
is.
because they're like, all right, now do I get my thing? Can I get revenge now? I'm like, oh no, we'll just kill you so your soul can't get eaten. And he's like, nah, bitch, I'll have my soul eaten.
No, it's cool. They can eat my soul. By the way, yours is getting eaten too. What do you mean? Ah, shit.
So Eisenhorn and Voke, they get out just in time. And then they see like this body burn up and kind of turn into this demon. And like the description they use in the book to describe like how like a guy's soul gets turned into a demon is amazing.
Yeah.
And then this is when Molitor uses like the full power of the choir to banish the guy. Where was it?
First, no, it's probably the Inquisitor Lord,
Yeah.
right? But like the Space Marines come in with storm bolters, like blowing
Death
away
Watch.
the thing.
As is tradition.
And then like one of the Inquisitor Lords, like henchman, tries to go cut it apart, and the thing just like slices right through like him in a second.
He's got the Eviscerator chain swords. They've got the Ecclesiarchy guys have the Eviscerator chain swords, like the big old two-handed chain swords.
Yeah,
that they're
yeah.
Like, we could stop this demon.
But sadly,
I'm
demon,
dead. Oh, shit.
yeah, -1 to hit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the changeling aura. All right, so so they end up banishing this demon, but Eisenhorn and Voke almost die. Like Voke gets super fucked up,
Well, because he was in there longer than Eisenhorn.
and he was also like really old.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they do like
Oh,
they do
dude, the
kind of
best
like a
thing-
little thing like about how
You know,
like,
we don't like that he's telling the story to us as like a kind of like a aside, and he breaks the fourth wall Deadpool style. But I really did like him talking about Voke later on in the story.
Voke's like all frail, like Emperor Palpatine.
And he's like, Haldane, make sure he becomes an inquisitor. And then he was like, I don't like him, but sure for you. And then they're like, oh, he's going to live for Voke lived for another 104 years.
103 years. He proved impossible to kill, and when Haldane became an Inquisitor, it was because Voke did it. You know, it's like, damn, dude.
Yeah, dude.
But he was like he was Stephen Hawking. Basically, Voke became Stephen Hawking. Like,
In the later books, he has a power armature.
oh, nice,
Oh.
Like he has like a frame that he has to walk around in.
nice,
So Smash Cut 2, Alien Home Planet.
and training.
Oh yeah.
So they spend their 40 weeks training. And he tells the Death Watch. He says, "Listen, you need to train. It doesn't matter. Whatever you've done in the past, it's not gonna be good enough. Oh, we'll be good enough. It won't be good enough.
Train in unusual situations.
Right,
is
like
what we
blindfold your guys,
Train-
make them deaf. You can't trust
Train
your
in
senses.
water, turn off your senses, do everything." And he says, "All right, we'll do it."
Whatever, dude. You don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I like it how they said, it was like, I don't care. It's like if you're blind, unable to think, move, or walk, you should be able to hold a lasgun, believe in the Emperor, and fire.
And yeah, I like that they wanted to let the 50th gunsmen from
The ones they rescued.
the ones they rescued,
'Cause,
they're
yeah, they
like,
already-
no, we're not gonna use them. We're gonna let them stay on the boat. And he's like, no, they're going down with me.
They're the only
Those are
people
my
with
guys.
experience.
Those are my
of
guys.
This thing.
And it turns out they consistently did better on tests than the average.
Yeah.
Well, they were doing better on tests because they'd have experienced it already.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So, he
So
was like-
those are the people to take. So we did our 40-week warp transit to this Xenos home world, looking for, I guess, the original Japanese copy of the Necrotai.
The Japanese language copy.
Yeah, the Japanese language copy, very rare print of the Necrotai. And we get to that planet, and it's like the same kind of deal.
Well, it's already under siege by the renegade fleet.
Yes.
Like they're attacking.
because they're like, shit, this is the only copy of the book left.
Right. So they're trying to take it because they were trading for it originally, and the people are like, well, you didn't trade, so you can't have it. And now they're just, well, fuck you, we're going to take it. So
Yeah, exactly.
So they throw down and they land. They start their landing parties down there, and they're unable to track certain people. Inquisitor that flint somebody suffered penalties, and he's also leading a squad down.
He had to clean the whole room where they did the seance, like in a sackcloth robe, and he had to
had his flagellants, like whipping him.
They had to whip him.
I was like, well, that's
What is the first rule of interrogation? Do not kill your interrogatee.
Especially if your brother Inquisitor declares dibs on said detainee.
I declare dibs.
So they get down, they land, they're experiencing the disorientation. They've got a Death Watch guy with them, and he's like, "Whoa, this is weird." And we're like,
And he's like not hitting anything, and he's getting frustrated. Clearly,
he's
Rolling twos.
right? He just keeps
pissed off.
rolling twos.
He's like, I'm standing next to Inquisitor. I get to re-roll ones, hit on threes. What's happening?
All twos.
Eisenhorn and the guardsmen are nailing cultists left and right, and the Death Watch guy's just like, what? And then they get attacked by another.
The world
Emperor's
has a
children.
blanket -1 hit rule. Yeah, so the Emperor's children attack them, right? And
Yeah, there's an entire Space Marine chapter now, or Legion. There's multiple Emperor's children there now, right?
Kind of a couple of them, yeah. It sounds like, but not like a ton of them,
because they were the ones who were bankrolling this whole project, as they found out.
Yeah. So a fight with those guys ensues. They're in an aquarium space where the aquarium is actually not above you and around you; it's below you. Like you could just look down into the water. You're walking over the walkways,
right?
And weird giant cattail plants and stuff. The heretics are firing from. They're clinging to the top, shooting at them. They're nuking them down, and the Emperor's children takes the Death Watch guy. And falls into the water.
If you asked, what's that dude who did the weird? It's like if you asked
Escher?
George Lucas.
It's like if you asked Tim Burton to make a Death World and gave him a very basic description of 40K.
Right.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's all like seashells. Like all the buildings are these giant like seashell shapes,
Right.
like organic kind of like conical patterns and things like that. Which makes sense since these guys are starfish people, Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, it would if they
of
weren't just
giraffes.
weird giraffe people.
Oh man, the Great War.
I mean,
And then they finally
I
encountered
could
aliens.
draw you down what
Yeah.
I'm seeing when I say giraffe in my head as opposed to
so
starfish.
they
But
finally encountered the aliens, where we get shots.
hold on. So they fight this off. The Death Watch guy gets his ass kicked. They shoot out a tank. Water drains out everywhere, and it shows them down there. And he manages to blow the head off the Emperor's children. And then he climbs back up to the walkway, bleeding from everywhere. Like, okay, let's go. I figured it out. And they move on to the next room where they see the aliens, who are getting their shit kicked out of them by their slaves.
Right, the slaves are just walking around pulling them apart.
Yeah.
And using their own spikes to stab them to death.
Right.
And it's like, huh. And if you learn a little bit earlier in the book that the Necrotech book actually warped the society. They were like a good society, and then they became warped. They fought against each other. People that were like, we want to use a Necrotech, and people were like, we don't. The Necrotech's bad. So they fight against each other. And I think that the slaves that you see are actual, like, the other half of the society that didn't want to use the Necrotech.
Oh, probably.
Like
Yeah,
the
that makes sense.
enslaved force. And so they're just like, hee, we're free. Stab, stab, stab. And,
That's literally what it says in the book as well.
does it?
The
I didn't.
he were free. Stab, stab, stab.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were
As
saying
they
my
use their
actual
hands
point.
to create a face so that they can say that
Yeah.
to the
Hee
humans
hee.
so they know, hee, we're free.
Well, except that they're more like oxen beasts and shit. But, whatever. Whatever. They have hooves. They're more like giraffes. So they're just finding these guys. And the main alien race is just, they're all just disoriented. Like, they don't know what's going on.
Well, and they don't fight. They don't fight back. All they do is just let themselves get killed.
Yeah, and it feels like their shapes, like they need their shapes to be that disorienting for them. Like real space is the alternate of disorient.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And like, so this is disorienting to humans. You get rid of it. Now it's disorienting to them. So
they keep fighting their way through, and they find Dazzo, like, just like blood streaming out of his face and everything else, and they ended up like psychically interrogating him because his mind is gone, and realized
like
that
half a second, yeah.
right, he's pulled out a primer or like a translation
Like a
translation
key.
module, right?
A babblefish.
Yeah, there you go. Of the Necrotech.
How many sci-fi references can we get in this episode?
As many as
Yeah.
we possibly can. And that Locke has taken it, right?
Because he was the effort of stealing it from this thing blew him up and basically killed
he
him.
Pulled the information from this from this like computer, or they call it a cogitator or whatever, with his mind alone.
Yeah.
Which is super cool. Like, how powerful of a psyker do you have to be to do something like that? That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Too bad I wasn't good enough to keep him alive.
Yeah, too bad.
Still dead.
He's just a primary psyker, dude.
Right.
So like
46 points. Don't worry
right,
about
yeah,
it.
no big deal.
Hold on. Oh wait. Oh, Primaris Psyker, the Imperial Guard one, not the Primaris Librarian. I thought you were slamming me. I was like, oh,
No,
man,
no.
that's hurtful.
No, I don't have to say anything to slimy about those guys.
You just could have filled them on a table.
Your records.
Hey.
I'm just fucking with you, Dave.
Yeah.
So the Gregor Locke runs off. Eisenhorn gives chase, and there was another guy that chased after him. The buddy Connor. No, it's not Connor. What's
Midas?
Not Midas. Who's the Inquisitor that's his friend?
Oh, Endor.
Yeah, Conrad.
Conrad?
There's Molitor and Endor.
Endor. So it's
Endor.
Endor. Endor gave chase, and like he's in a firefight with Locke in the room that the Necrotech is in.
Right.
They haven't gotten to it just yet. And Eisenhorn catches up and to watch him get shot, and they go into another pattern, and he and Midas start talking in code again, and then some grenades happen, and
Yep. So Midas ends up staying behind with Endor, right? And then Eisenhorn continues on trying to chase down Gorgon Locke to take away the... So they go into this temple, right?
Right.
And the temple has like the traditional chaos iconography, like spiked chains hanging from the ceiling, like literally the Necrotech has warped reality to like take away like the smooth organic lines and everything like that are previously present, and import its reality of like chaos onto this room where it's housed. And it's just a polyhedron, like sitting on a shelf. Like that's like anybody could walk up and take it, right? Like whatever.
I mean, except that they can't because it immediately shoots you full of orgasm and you can't move.
Sure.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky. And so, anyway, he ends up, he kills Locke at this point, right? So he kills Locke after a knockdown, drag out fight. Like a pillar falls on him and crushes him.
It's
Locke pushes him back, and as he's falling, he cuts away at a pillar with his lightsaber.
Right.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Because I thought the bombardment of the cathedral started actually.
No. He cut down with the lightsaber the part of the pillar, and that crushed Locke.
Okay.
Didn't kill Locke because he still had to do his badass final words to Locke.
Right.
Where he finds him guilty of all kinds of heresy, and he gives him this big speech as Locke is dying in front of him,
and just cuts a mark of the traitor into his forehead
as he passes away.
Yeah, it's important. That's for.
So then he goes to grab the necrotech and destroy it,
and Molitar shows up.
Well, and then he's frozen.
Yeah,
psychic powers.
Right.
Frozen, and he can't move
because he's nowhere near the blank.
Right,
and Endor can't move, and they're kind of like stuck there, and.
Betancourt.
Betancourt. I'm sorry. Can't move.
Oh, that's right.
Endor's laying down with Beckwin holding his guts in.
Oh, that's what it is. That's right. Okay, Beckwin stays with him.
So, and then it turns out that Molitar is really serious about not wanting to destroy the book.
But he doesn't really know why.
And so he called Ordinatus down like
so
10 minutes
he
before
did like the
speech.
The quality thing like in Watchmen where like he's like Eisenhorn's like, you won't do it. He's like, oh, you fool, you wouldn't catch me here monologuing. I did it 10 minutes ago. So Molitor is called Exterminatus on this planet. There's only 5 people on the planet who can do that. He's one of them. This is irreversible at this point. This planet is being destroyed. But he wants the necrotech.
He doesn't want it destroyed, right?
He does not want it destroyed. He wants to use it for quote unquote good. And it's funny because like Eisenhorn's frozen and like Molitor is boasting, but it's no fun if you don't have anyone fighting against you. So he's like, let him speak. So he like loosens up his mouth so Eisenhorn can argue back with him a little bit about the whole thing. Like, no, don't be a dick.
That's a cool villain thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's at this point that Eisenhorn still has kind of like the key to translating the thing, which is what they need, like the little MacGuffin. And like one of the 3 servants that Molitor has is like, ooh, it's in his coat pocket. He's trying not to think about it right now, but it's there. And I'm like, oh, that fucking sucks.
The psychic guy picks it up.
And then Molitor is like, oh, Eisenhorn, you fool. And he goes to reach in his jacket to grab it. And that's when it describes about how his hand explodes. And I'm like, oh, shit. It's like from a last bolt. And this is Beckwin coming in. And she shot off his hand. And the closer she gets to Eisenhorn, the more he gets free. So now she's in the room. There is no psychic things holding back. And this is when Eisenhorn and Betancourt can kind of come in and just really even the odds out.
So Molitar has 3 acolytes. 2 of them immediately shred their robes and reveal themselves to be arcoflagellants. So
I heard they're a solid unit.
Oh yeah, no, and
I think they're actually pretty good in 40K.
Yeah, and they just go charging at them.
Right. And so they demolish those guys.
Well, okay, so one of them, they shoot a bunch and he doesn't die. And then they shoot the chemical rack on his back.
Oh, yeah.
Until he actually feels all the pain he's in and then dies.
Right.
The other one, they have a huge problem with until Betancourt does like a fucking ninja jump over him, attaches a satchel of grenades around his neck and pulls the pin on one.
Wow.
And the explosion blows up the arcoflagellant and then pushes Betancourt away and knocks him out against the wall.
Right.
And I was like, that is badass.
Yeah. That's pretty sweet.
And so at this point, we're just left alone with...
Barry versus the Predator, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. This is where we have the third kind of member of Molitor's retinue who hasn't revealed themselves, and Eisenhorn.
Right. So they're doing this running chase scene where Eisenhorn and Beckwin are hidden. They can't find him, and the place is coming down around them. They run out on like kind of a terrace rooftop.
Right.
They get up on the rooftop, and they're sitting there, and he's like, "All right, we found you. Now just give it to us." And that was oh man, I lost it. I don't remember what happened well, I know what happened after that, but I don't know what happened to the Inquisitor.
To Molitor?
To Molitor.
Yeah. Molitor gets killed.
Yeah, but I don't remember how he dies.
I think doesn't So anyway, so the third acolyte reveals himself to be
Molitor's
Cherubale.
Molitor dies.
Right, and I think he throws Molitor into the fire because there's like these pits of fire that are that are burning up. I think he hucks him in there.
Yeah.
I think. Whatever. Anyway,
whatever.
he dies.
So he
He's
pulls
dead.
off his robes and reveals himself to be Cherubale.
Which is a demon host.
Yeah.
Of immense psychic power.
Well, and he's the one that Eisenhorn is being kind of
Black-eyed
like
man.
dreaming of, the blank-eyed man, who Eisenhorn is terrified of. And this is when he's like, "Hey, man," and Cherubale is just like, "Just give me the book, okay? Or give me the key, okay?"
Yeah.
Because he's holding the book already.
Yeah. And then he's like, "No, I'm not going to do this. Okay, if you give me the key, then you get to die here when the planet dies." And he's like, "If you don't give me the key, I'm going to break every bone in your body. Then I'm going to go have some fun with your friend, with your female friend."
He
and
threatens
then,
straight up to rape her.
and,
Like,
and
it's
then I
very
will
explicit.
then I will break every bone in her body, and then I will just take the key. And then at this point, Eisenhorn just kind of throws the key down and breaks it.
Right, stomps on it. with
Stomps
his
it
foot.
under his butt.
All right, there you go. Stomp.
And at this point, Beckwin comes back in because she was away from this kind of thing.
Right.
And as she comes in with her blankness, she kind of drives the demon away.
So I thought she was with him the whole time, and he just got close enough to the demon to no longer feel his powers.
And he was
or
like,
he got close enough to
psychic
Eisenhorn.
blank. That's cute.
Oh yeah, psychic blank. And the thing is the rest of the team heroes are coming through the back door behind him. The brother Captain Steinwolf and some other stuff are like leaping through. Like, here we come to save the day.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah.
like,
Sees the demon host sees them and is like, no, fuck this shit, dude. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Oh no, he stops the thing that I like to show how
yeah,
powerful
yeah.
the demon host is brother Captain Steinwolf is like Stormbolter action. And the demon goes, boom, stop the bullets.
He catches the bullets and melts them.
He stops. He's like, get away from here, Astartes,
Yeah,
It's like,
scum. But then he's like, "Fuck y'all, I'm out of
outta
here."
Right.
And,
And then he's described to do a perfect dive into the fire pits below.
Right.
it was, or into the ocean fire pits. He's just like, sploosh, no tail, perfect 10 from the East German judge. Everything worked
It's
out.
amazing.
Yeah. Straight tens.
And then they get back to the ship.
Well, then they're like, "Shit, we're all dead now," because this planet's being exterminated in a minute. And then the gun cutter comes down and swoops in and takes them all away to safety.
Piloted by the former Arbites, who
Oh,
is
yeah,
now
Fishake.
who is actually now half machine through the injuries that he suffered in the previous fight with the aliens. And he picks him up and is like, "Hey, you guys need a lift?" And everybody jumps on and they fly out of there, safety.
Like the end of the Death Star.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and it just
Exactly.
blows up. And then that essentially, I mean, they do some recovery after that. But that's about 2 hours of Eisenhorn.
Yeah. So we had some other stuff.
So we had some other stuff. We don't anymore. I just want to touch on a couple things. Don't let our weird ramblings about it go on. It's an amazing book. And
Yes,
the
seriously.
structure of it is super good. It's very layered, and nothing is wasted in this book.
Oh
is
my
what
God.
I like.
It's
Everything comes back.
so good. Like if you haven't read it and still want to read it, like I can't recommend enough to you like this book. Like it is by far one of my favorite 40K novels, and I would say for the majority of people that read Black Library stuff, it's one of their favorite novels too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you like any of the sci-fi references movies we made, there you go. It's obviously it's
that's
great.
free of charge.
Yeah, it was free. Let's
You're welcome. We're going to take a break. We're going to come right on back and wrap this shit up.
If you're in the Anchorage area and need your hobby fix, head on down to Tier 1 Cards and Games. Whether it's 40K, X-Wing, Attack Wing, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dragon Ball, Pokemon, War Machine, Age of Sigmar, Malifaux, or even Magic, the Gathering kind, not the Siegfried and Royd kind, Tier 1 Cards and Games has the space, the players, and products for you to build your forces and destroy your foes. Not in Alaska? Enjoy our snow, suckers. We've got none. And while you're stuck inside, check out Tier 1's live Twitch stream at www.twitch.tv/Tier1Cards. Streaming ITC format, 40K starting at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the last Saturday of every month.
And we're back.
Ooh, okay.
All right.
We saw it. It's a long, complicated story, but it's a beautiful story, and hopefully we're going to continue along this path of Eisenhorn. I definitely want to read the other two now. Now that I know there's two others, there's some short stories and everything out there, and it's super good. Before we go, you guys got any stuff you want to add in there quickly before we go?
Yeah, you got anything you got any plugs you want to do today, Danny?
Oh yeah, I can talk about my. All right, so, War Games tournaments makes some really good cheap MDF terrain. Not cheap as in quality, because the quality is very high, but inexpensive as far as like it's very inexpensive to get like a whole table of terrain. So it's a really good resource, and I highly recommend their products if you have a chance to try them out, because I have purchased from them before, and they've definitely meet the needs of like filling out a nice table of line of sight blocking terrain.
Oh, nice.
John, you got anything?
Yeah, I just have like one product I want to really push, and it sounds really stupid, but like the little Citadel battle journal that Games Workshop makes for $40K. It's like a really dumb seeming, like overpriced notebook. But man, have I gone back through that a lot the past couple of months. Like I write down like all my games, like when I fuck up or when I mess up, I'll write in there what happened or when something went really well.
Yeah.
And it's just a really good resource to kind of keep a track of your progress and how you're going.
Man, Nate showed me his,
Yeah.
and it was really cool. I was like, oh, I didn't know. I thought it was just like some lined paper in here.
Yeah.
But like, no, it's like, oh, okay, cool. I can actually literally detail out a battle in here.
I can detail out my opponent, what my opponent played, what I played, how many command points I had, how many command points I used, notes during the battle, who eventually won, the date of it, the event that I played in. It's
really handy.
pen and paper, but it's super good.
And then I want to give a shout out to Grayed Out Dice Bags. I just ordered a bunch of dice bags for our team. And he gave us a smoking deal. He does custom dice bags. They're made in the USA in Atlanta, Georgia. Each dice bag sewn from high quality cotton. And you can pretty much get anything that he's got designed already, or he can custom make it for you from a print company called Spoonflower, and then make it itself. He's very well thought of. And you can find him at gradeoutproductions.com or at gradeout.etsy.com. And if you use the code MobRulesPod, you get an additional 10% off.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but look at you wheeling dealing dice bags.
I know.
No, was that grayed out or great out?
Grayed, Greyed.
Okay,
Out
perfect.
Productions.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Like I said, it was a long, interesting ride. I'm very thankful we read it though, or listened to it, because it was super
For
good.
real.
Yeah.
And I'm
so was I.
excited to kind of see the future adventures of Eisenhorn. We're going to be back here in 2 weeks talking about something.
Yep.
I'm sure we'll figure it out.
Yep.
And then, yeah. So for Mob Rules, I have been John.
I've been Dave.
I've also been Dave. No, just kidding. Dave.
Wait, no, have I been Danny?
Baby, I don't know. Okay.
See you next
I've
time.
been John then.
We've here.
Yeah.